Brothers of Phi Kappa Tau, are you ready for our opening celebration? A little bit louder, come on. And I won't make you do it a third time. All right, Dalton.
Phi Kappa Tau is used to change. Over 150 chapters over, a few embraces, soon to be over 50 national presidents. Phi Kappa Tau has done a lot. Phi Taus have been these things. Political leaders. Even leaders after 90 years old. Seriously, look it up. Phi Kappa Tau and America have endured a lot as well. Countless recessions, wars, a global health crisis. 117 years of resilience is what brings us here today. That's because nothing can stop what's coming next. You. Everything you do as a woman matters. On campus, at work, when you're with your family, Phi Kappa and Tau are there. You shape what the future of fraternity looks like, not just for Phi Tau, but for everyone. This weekend, we'll have the chance to meet brothers from all over the country. More than ever, our ability to have in-person fellowship matters. Don't let these connections end here. This convention is a privilege to learn, educate others, and shape our fraternity. Oh, also, it's Vegas. So you know, this won't be fun at all. Phi Kappa Tau develops men of character into men of distinction. And it's with the strength of our undergraduate members and alumni that we will go boldly into the future. A future forged Phi Tau.
Brothers of Phi Kappa Tau, give it up for the new CEO, Matt Arnold.
All right. Welcome to Vegas, everybody. I'd like to officially welcome you to the 65th National Convention of Kappa Tau. I am very humbled to be with you today as your new CEO. On behalf of all of Phi Kappa Tau Nation, I extend a warm welcome to each and every one of you who made this trip to beautiful Las Vegas, which is a little warm, don't you think? To celebrate the strength and unity of Phi Kappa Tau. We have a remarkable lineup of distinguished individuals joining us. And I want to give a special welcome to some of these esteemed guests. I'd like to recognize the Foundation trustees that are here with us tonight. Jack Albinas, I'm sorry. When I call your name, please stand. Jack Albinas, John Sayers, Rob Reese, Stephen Martino, Mike Pittman, J.K. Lewis, David Lipinski, and Warren Maddox. But there are more. We want to also recognize the largest gathering of Phi Kappa Tau and former national presidents. Stephen Brothers, Greg Holland, Charlie Ball, Bill Crane, Bill Mason, Stephen Nelson, Rick Keltner, Mike Davila, and Bill Brash. All those, please rise. I know it was really hard for former national presidents to find Vegas as a home of Phi Kappa Tau for a few days. I also want to recognize a group of men that I have spent countless hours with over the last few months in this new role. And those are the men of the National Council. When I read your name, please stand up. Alan Shaw, Michael Lewis, Michael French, Ray Carlos, John Hayes, Mickey Bailey, Jeff Gilberts representing the Foundation Chair, and Doug Adams as our Foundation Vice Chair. And let us not forget our National Vice President, Barry Mask. Back there in the back. And our National President, Dale Holland. Dale. Dale? Well, we're going to find him later. I'd also like to welcome our graduate council members and their guests. Your presence here tonight is truly appreciated. Across all Phi Tau chapters, we're happy that over 250 people are joining us this week. And today I found out there's a few of you that are coming in and we didn't even know. So welcome to you as well. But let us not forget the heart and soul of our fraternity, the undergraduate men that are here with us today. It is you, the men who will lead Phi Kappa Tau into the future, who are the driving force behind our collective success. We thank you for your dedication and passion to Phi Kappa Tau. While association is the first step towards brotherhood, this convention is the gateway to the national organization. You can see the link of some of the men's ladder bars here that have made quite a habit of checking in with our organization every couple of years. And just a quick note, while we're all lifelong brothers, a show of hands if you've made a lifelong friend while attending a convention. A lot of hands. So many connections to be made, and to those with just one ladder bar, I'm excited for the friendships that you will forge over these next 3 days. You can see my bar is just one currently too, but I can't wait to add more to my chain. Future forged. Phi Tau. What is forged? It is a heated place where through skill, effort, and the right materials, and with a little bit of heat, Vegas, you can make something incredible. That sounds like a great convention to me, doesn't you? You're going to be seeing a lot over the next few days. What does that mean? When I took the role as CEO, National President Dale Holland charged me with making sure that this convention was not only about honoring our past, but also forging our future. And I like that. But before we forge the future, let me introduce National Vice President Barry Mask for a brief welcome and a special recognition of presidential citations. Barry?
Thank you very much, Matt. I appreciate that. And good to see you young, shining faces here today. And it's just makes your heart swell, and then also makes me realize, gosh, I'm getting old. But I'm still trying to retain the spirit of youth. So we have some great recognitions tonight, some very special presidential citations from our President Dale Holland. And I would like to call these individuals up and to receive a very special citation for a search committee for the new CEO. And I think they got it right in Matt Arnold. This was the first time, and the council felt very strongly that we needed to open this up to the best person, whether they were 5 tall or what, you know, no holds barred. We want the best person. So it's been many years that we've gone out of our own internal pedigree, and for that, I think they should be commended. First, our past national president, Mr. Bill Masak. Bill. On behalf of the National Council, I want to say thank you, past President Masak, and y'all did a great job. Thanks, Barry. Appreciate it. Thank you. Next, our local guy here in Las Vegas, Mr. Stephen Martino. Stephen, on behalf of the National Council, we want to thank you again for a job well done. Next, the Honorable Gentleman from Georgia, Robert Ragsdale. Bob, on behalf of the National Council, I just want to thank you for a great job that y'all done, and that you have done. And you know I'm an Auburn man, but I'll go ahead and say it. Go Dogs! Next, our member of the National Council, one of the most engaged members on the council, the gentleman from the West Coast, Raymond Carlo. Ray, thank you for the passion that I saw in this search committee, and we appreciate the great job you did. Thank you. And now, one of my favorite fly tals, a gentleman who has indeed captured and retained the spirit of youth, the gentleman Mike Rosser, also our serious fun guy. Come on up, Mike. Mike, on behalf of the National Council, we want to thank you for your service, your discernment, and your passion, and for forever retaining the spirit of youth. Thank you very much. Thank you. Next, a young man that I've gotten to know and all the council has gotten to know, our chairman of our undergraduate advisory board. This man has one unique skill set called common sense, and it's so short in today's society. And he did a great job serving on the search committee. Our UAB chairman, Scott Siegel. Scott, as the National Council has witnessed this past 2 years, thank you for all the deliberative questions you asked and your passion and discernment, and a great job on the CEO search committee. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Barry, I can honestly say I couldn't be more pleased about those men who received a Presidential Citation. Thank you to those men who did a good job of really drilling into me to make sure this is really who you want. So thank you again. Now I would like to introduce Michael Loomis, who is our outgoing national counselor, to give an update on the 2025 strategic plan. There really is no better expert in the strategic planning than Michael, who completes his 7 years and as a professional is a senior vice president of strategy for Primo, which is a $75 million company. Michael, come on up.
Thank you, Matt. I also wanted to thank President Holland. When President Holland took the gavel at our convention in Oxford in 2021, he challenged us to set out a path towards a new strategic plan. And I've had the pleasure to lead the council's efforts to that effect for the past 2 years. We got right to work, and in the 3 to 4 months that followed, developed the 2025 strategic plan for the fraternity, which was passed at a joint meeting of the National Council and Foundation Trustees in Los Angeles in November of 2021. And we thought, what better way to kick off the important work that we have ahead of us in the next few days and provide an update on the state of our organization than to update you on the progress against our strategic plan. There's a bit of meat that we'll go into, so we'll move a little bit out of the fun recognition and into some of the hard work, and we'll get back to the recognition here in a bit. Before we get to where we're at, we should have some slides coming now. Then we wanted to start with what is the strategic plan and how did we get here? Hopefully you've been following along. We published a lot of information around the strategic plan when it was adopted. You can find all of that at phi-kappa.org/strategic plan. We had a whole series of explanatory materials and a series of blog posts around the different pillars of the plan. We also are continuing to publish quarterly updates. So hopefully you're reading sidelights. And every quarter we're publishing an update of where we're at, what we've accomplished in the prior quarter, and what is planned for the quarter ahead. Still working on slides back there, but we'll keep working ahead there. This is the 3rd strategic plan in recent Phi Kappa Tau history. And we wanted to take this opportunity to analyze what worked well about the prior 2, what we could improve on, adopt some of the modern best practices in strategic planning and execution. We looked at what's happening around us in the higher education and Greek life environment. We looked at the information about Phi Kappa Tau, where we were succeeding and where we had gaps. Importantly, we also did a lot of listening. And I appreciate everybody here who participated in the stakeholder surveys, including the UAB, the Foundation Trustees, main directors, National Council, other Phi Taus from around the country. Because it provided an important context and allowed us to understand where you were seeing opportunities and where we could add more value through our strategic planning process. So we moved to a 4-year planning cycle that we'll try to adhere to going forward. So this plan runs through 2025. We'll, at the end of this coming term of the officers you will elect over the next couple of days, there will be a planning cycle for our 2029 strategic plan that will take place over there. And we're about halfway through that cycle. Because we had a little bit of a late start in that we weren't teed up to start the plan on July 1st, 2021. And for those of you who aren't aware, our fiscal year starts on July 1st, which is why we have it set out this way. But we've made a lot of really great progress over the last 18 months. And we have a lot of work still to do over the next couple of years. One thing that we heard from, I wanted to kind of highlight a few things that we heard from you during this process. And the first is when we ask questions about how you perceive the value that you've received from Phi Kappa Tau, whether as an undergraduate or over the years, we heard a lot about how brotherhood is not just friendship or fellowship, but a catalyst that builds lifelong relationships that you wouldn't otherwise have, that add a lot of value to your lives, and it also allows personal development and professional development opportunities. That came through really loud and clear. The second thing that really stood out was the desire for growth. When we asked, where do you want to see Phi Kappa Tau in 5 years, and those types of questions, a vast majority said they wanted to see the organization grow. And there's an altruistic reason for that. We can expand our mission and reach more brothers and impact the world in higher ways with a larger organization. But there's also really practical reasons about that. And getting the operating leverage that allows us to drive more resources into our local chapters, to operate more efficiently, and provide stability and permanence for the organization over time. And the third were the series of things that we heard that related to opportunities that we can use to better accomplish our mission, ranging from better communication opportunities, delivering more value to our members, recruitment, alumni engagement, and overall organizational execution. But we also heard some other things that were really insights into culture. And culture is the bedrock that we can build strategy upon. And we heard that really all brothers, whether you're engaged on a day-to-day basis or not, are very proud of Phi Kappa Tau. They're proud of their association with the fraternity. They want to see it be successful. There's a thread of narrative that starts with our founding history as a Maverick non-fraternity association that gives us perception among our membership that we're unique. We can break through the norms of what people typically think about as fraternities or Greek life, which is really important in today's environment. It also gives us an opportunity to differentiate ourselves from other groups. And the other thing we heard was really about how do we add the most value as a national organization. And it's not about providing everything in a one-size-fits-all manner, because we have a lot of diversity in your chapter size and the type of school you go to, a large school, a small one, a private one, a public one, what part of the country you're in. And there's a lot of creativity and innovation that happens on local campuses. So as a national organization, when we're doing our best, we're providing those value-added services, the resources behind what you're doing, the coordination and crowdsourcing, all those good ideas, while really tapping into the local connection and creativity that you're driving on your own campus. All this insights allowed us to build a framework around, or a frame of view around our long-term strategy, and where we want to be in the coming years. We know that over time we want to be, advance the slide, the clicker's not working on the great thing. We're going to be on 2025 is to have those value propositions that are differentiated, that set us apart, and allow us to grow and build successful chapters, really solidified, and attracting undergraduates and alumni in engaging ways. We want to build a growth machine around how we operate at a national level to allow us to invest in the most efficient and effective ways into our local campuses, to see the growth that we all want. And there's modernization work that we need to do to bring Phi Kappa Tau to the best practices of today. But what really gets us excited is what this sets us up to do in the future. If we can get that work done by 2025, there's some really exciting opportunities to have ahead of us for the 2029 plan. We can really significantly move the needle on the value that you're getting for the investment of dues into the organization. We can begin tracking Phi Kappa Tau towards a position in the upper echelon of national fraternities. We can have a vast majority of our alumni and our undergraduates going engaged not just locally, but regionally and nationally as well. And so we'll look forward to that in the coming plan as well. So what this means, we end up with 4 objectives or pillars of our strategy for 2025. Go back one. Accelerating growth of our undergraduate membership, providing a differentiated value of membership through personal and professional growth and engagement, facilitating strong lifelong ties of brotherhood, and establishing a best-in-industry operational and financial model. And I read that because of those words were carefully chosen and specifically chosen to point us in the right direction. But how do we know if we're successful? How do we know if we've accomplished these objectives? This is one learning we had from prior plans. There's 14 key results that help us measure that and specifically articulate what we're going to be doing over the coming years. You may recognize this methodology if you've worked with objectives and key results, or OKRs. This is part of our leadership program, our education programs now as well. It's a methodology that's an industry best practice both in business and nonprofit. The Gates Foundation uses a similar approach. It was invented at Intel, made famous at Google, and it gives us a really solid foundation to build from. So with that said, where are we at? I'm on clicker. So as I mentioned, we approved the plan in November 2021, and we got to work in implementation. We've implemented some new software to help us track this. We brought our team along the way. About July 2022, we made some management changes to really turn on the gas. We turned to a really team-based quarterly planning cycle. We instituted weekly check-in meetings to really accelerate our progress, and we've made a lot of progress since. So you can see on the right, we have you can see kind of an achievement against our quarterly goals each quarter, and it's getting better and better. We're getting more velocity as an organization. And so I'll give you an update on where we're at with each objective. First, growth, and I'll double click on growth because I know there's a lot of interest in this. We are tracking a little bit behind a very aggressive goal that President Holland challenged to be ambitious and to aim for 5,000 undergraduates and 100 chapters by 2025. Go to the next slide for me. We're running a little bit behind that. There's been a lot of focus on this so far. We've already mentioned, I think, the Growth Summit, which many of you participated in last year. There's new recruitment marketing materials. There's some new recruitment services initiatives, leveraging the talents and the resources of our expansion team to help existing local chapters. We've also adopted more processes for cultivating interest groups with expansion. We think that this is going to get us into the mid-4,000s, where we're tracking right now, by 2025 on membership, and the low 90s on campus footprint. We built a forecast model that allows us to project ahead based on the numbers that we're getting. We have a lot of work to do there, and I'll talk a little bit about the numbers there. We have also another initiative to align the fraternities' programs and strategy to macro trends in the higher education environment. And we put a pause on this for a little while while we went through the CEO search, because we knew that we needed our new CEO to be kind of a seat at the table as we went through that important work. And so we'll be picking up that on in the months to come. We have a pretty simple formula about growth if you think about it. The most important thing is securing the chapters we have on the campus we're on and retaining our members through their undergraduate years. Many of you who are in business, if you run sales and marketing, you always hear it's a lot easier to keep customers you have than to win new customers. The same thing applies with fraternities, so that's really important. The second is we need to add more to, again, the business analogy at the top of the funnel. Right? It's recruiting more undergraduates, expanding to new campuses, and that flywheel is really powered by successful chapters and engaged alumni. This is a lot of little text and slides, but it gives you a little bit of a picture of where we're at. Our peak in membership was in 2017. We had a little bit over 4,600 members. And we started to see a little bit of decline coming into the COVID years. And then, COVID, to all of your credit, we saw a lot of really resilient chapters, but it still hurt. When we can't recruit in person, when it's really hard to even operate as a chapter normally, we lost some chapters due to that fact. The good news is that we're on the rebound. So if you hit the membership trend, we're heading back up. Normally, our spring is smaller than our fall, and actually this spring we're bigger than we were in the fall. So that's a really good sign. Our recruitment numbers are heading back up. The chapters count is actually outdated by 1, to make sure we're at 80. So we're adding more chapters than we're closing again. The gap between where we were in 2017 and where we are today is half because we have fewer chapters, and half because those chapters are smaller than before. And so we need to close both of those gaps. The other thing that's really great, and if you look at the chart on the right, our attrition rate, we want this to be low. Our attrition rate has been improving dramatically over the last several years. And most of this has been driven by a really big improvement in our associate retention. So kudos to every chapter out there. We've seen a lot, you're providing a lot more value to your associates. You're bringing them through their associate period into being an initiated brother in a much more effective way. And that's really showing in the numbers here. So we're really excited to see the changing the attrition rate moving further and further down. So again, we wanted to give a little bit more context on growth because we know there's a lot of interest here. And while we've had some challenges, we've made a turn and now we're heading back in the right direction. Our second objective, providing differentiated value of membership. And we do this through personal and professional growth and engagement. There's 4 key results that we're measuring this by. The first is looking at the experience quality of your local chapters. And the best proxy metric we have for this is the Board L Challenge. We know that the Board L Challenge was misaligned to what was actually happening from a chapter health and experience quality standpoint there for a few years. And so we have a task force to revamp that. That was adopted as of January 1. Now, so for this year, we're going to get our first real baseline of the updated Board L Challenge. Video reviews are about to go out, and so you'll see where they're at. We're going to see where we're really at with a better calibrated Board L Challenge. But our goal is to have 80% of chapters be at least our standard level. We also have a lot of work to do on education. And granted, this was hurt by our inability to run in-person educational programs for a couple of years. But we have a very ambitious goal that 3/4 of our members, sometime during their undergraduate experience at the Phi Tau, participate in an on-campus, regional, or national educational program that Phi Kappa Tau fraternity puts on. The spring 2023 class, that was 14%. Again, we know that some of that is due to the impacts of COVID. But we're going to have a lot of focus on expanding our educational programs and really getting that to where we want to be as an organization. The third one was one we kind of put on the side a little bit just for prioritization purposes, but I'm very excited about it. So I think a really creative initiative for us to take, which is how do we align the Phi Kappa Tau experience to student majors and their career goals and their career experience. We have some really unique things at our disposal. The Series Fund partnership is one. Can provide something for healthcare education majors, both from a volunteerism standpoint and a resume building standpoint as an undergraduate, that no other fraternity can match. And how do we communicate that message and tell the story is something we're going to be doing more. And lastly, we can't have a valuable experience if we don't have a safe experience. And so risk management is a really key piece of the puzzle here. We're already above our goal for this year, and we're only 1 semester in. And so this is a really serious area that we need to continue to focus on improving, providing a safe and compliant experience. Both of those things are not always the same, but they're all both very important. We've also, as a National Council, have engaged a firm called Diet Strategies, who has a lot of experience in this space to help provide some additional consulting, some training, and some programs and data. So that one, we have a lot of work to do. Our Brotherhood initiative, we have a ton of really great progress. We have a new membership orientation and development program that's been developed since the start of the strategic plan. It's called the PALM program. Some of your chapters have already piloted this fall. Part of the direction for the strategic plan is to make that extend beyond just the orientation phase. And so there's a post-initiation component of that program. We'll have a full rollout this coming fall. Hopefully we'll take full advantage of a really great program that's now coming out. But the other thing that's probably exciting is we have a membership manual update that's underway. It's been a long time coming. The last membership manual was published in 2006. And Phi Kappa Tau and the world have changed a lot since 2006. So that is coming up as well. As I mentioned earlier, we're measuring student success by our retention rate and our graduation rate, and that is improving dramatically. Over the course of 4 years, our blended retention rate has moved up from 49% to 63%. We still have some work to do, but we're moving well in the right direction. And our alumni engagement is increasing really nicely as well. We measure this by the number of alumni who volunteer, who donate, who show up at an event at a local campus or regionally or nationally, or engaged digitally with the organization. And we've already moved that up 46% through a number of initiatives and a number of programs you can see here on the screen that have been implemented over the last few years. And then lastly, our last objective is to establish a best in industry operational and financial model. And I can't say how important it is for this objective that we've hired a new permanent CEO in Matt Arlo, and have the utmost confidence in the work he's going to do here for us. We're kind of in the midst of a comprehensive organizational development review. We're doing some pieces of parts. And so the first part of this was to define what type of CEO are we going to hire. And there was a task force that Dale Holland commissioned Brother Masak chaired, and I had the pleasure of serving on, where we developed a new CEO job description, the search criteria that went into the professional executive search, as well as developed a number of recommendations around our staffing, our resource needs that were delivered to Matt on day one, and he can incorporate into his own evaluation of where we need to be investing from a staff level going forward. And the other work we have to do is around our organizational design for volunteers. We know that we have a lot of opportunity there, as well as our ATV work design. Housing and technology, we have a lot of work to do on. Again, these were important things for us to have a permanent CEO in place to go and tackle, and so we'll be picking those up very soon. And then, we have kind of what I call the meta key result here, which is the strategic plan initiative to measure how well we get on the strategic plan. But these are ambitious goals, and our goal is to accomplish 80% of them by the end of our fiscal 25 year. And we're at 24%. We've got 2 years to go at that pace. Really, basically, we've only been really executing this hardcore for 1 year so far. We're going to end up in the mid-70s, and we're just increasing our velocity every quarter. And with Matt and Thomas, going to go even further. So I have a lot of confidence that we're going to end up well above that 8%. So I know there's a lot there, but we knew that you have a lot of substantial conversations to have over the next couple of days, a lot of important decisions we need to make as a group. And we wanted to have the full context. So before I pass it back to Matt, just kind of put a cap on it. We're very excited about the strategic plan. We think it's giving us a good roadmap to drive in the future. We have a number of programs and resources that are available to this and that are still coming. We need to continue to focus on the health of our chapters, the recruitment that drives that chapter viability. And so there's additional things that are coming there as well. And we have a path towards very significant achievement by 2025. So personally, I'm very excited and optimistic that we're going to be very proud of where we're going to end up in the next 2 years. And I hope this has been helpful to contextualize a lot of discussions and the decisions we'll make over the next few days. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael. As your CEO, I'm very excited about this. And I want to point out that while there's a lot packed into that conversation there, it isn't because of how you, as your undergraduate chapters, have worked over these last few years that make a lot of that happen. So thank you to you guys. So let's talk a little bit about some more good news. I'm thrilled to announce that over the last couple of years, we've added 7 new chapters, 2 of which have already chartered. It's through these chapters that we continue to expand and reach our impact, as Michael had shared with us. While there's still work to be done, we are steadily gaining momentum. And I want to send a congratulations to the Zeta Nu chapter at Appalachian State. And of course, I had the opportunity to sign the charter of the Alpha chapter at Miami University, our mother chapter. But there's more. Just yesterday, the National Council approved Epsilon Nu at Clemson University. This group of men started out they went from 0 to 60 very quick, which gives us the ability as a chapter, as the local chapter, to be able to build quickly the infrastructure they need to be a successful chapter. I can tell you what's really even better is that they are over 80 members strong. We look forward to chartering them in October of this year. But I'll also tell you that they can't just achieve that alone. It's through dedicated alumni support that also makes that happen as well. And I'm pleased to present a new award to Brother Bob Ragsdale with the Outstanding Associate Chapter Advisor Award for his dedication in working in getting the Clemson Associate Chapter on stable ground and explosive growth this past year. Brother Bob, join me on stage.
But it's not fair, Justin, or you in the audience, I want you to come here. I share this award with this young man and his colleagues. They started in August with 0. In 10 months, they're at 80. This is emblematic of what Phi Kappa Tau can do when they go to campuses where they are welcome and have an outstanding recruitment group and great kids like Justin.
It's a great job by the expansion team of our executive offices. Speaking of growth should. The 2022 Growth Summit marked a significant return to in-person programming for our undergraduate members. And let's not forget the 2020 Zenith Officer Institute, which is an expanded version of the President's Academy. Over a 3-day event, participants learned how to manage their chapter, recruit better, learn real-world skills to address negative habits in their chapters, such as hazing and alcohol abuse. Today, this convention is the largest gathering of Phi Tau since 2018. Let that sink in. It's been nearly 5 years since Phi Tau's last came together in this large numbers, sharing laughter, creating new memories, and perhaps raising a glass or two in a truly special occasion. The Phi Kappa Tau Foundation achieved tremendous success this past year, surpassing donor goals in every single metric, which includes our largest and most successful Founders Day of Giving to date, raising over $140,000 in March. This impressive accomplishment would not be possible without the Foundation's diligent work and express our heartfelt gratitude to them. Would the Foundation donors in this room please stand so that we can recognize you for your contributions to the fraternity? You'll be happy to know that I am one of the newest Bold Society members. And if you haven't noticed, there's a lot of new leadership on board. I'm excited to be working hand in hand with the Foundation's new Executive Director, Craig Rogers. Together, we are on a path to put Phi Kappa Tau shoulder to shoulder within the top organizations across the nation, within all fraternity organizations. Throughout this convention, we have some exciting partners and speakers lined up to share their expertise both within and outside the fraternity space. Phi Kappa Tau has partnered with a merchandise company that is revolutionizing the way you can order Phi Tau gear for your chapter. Campus Inc. is a new provider of our Phi Kappa Tau store. Live Now is an easy way for chapters to order bulk customized t-shirts for various events and also keep up to date with fashionable and seasonal designs. And I'd want to remind everyone who has invested in our convention favors package to make sure you pick up your Phi Kappa Tau t-shirt. They're pretty awesome. Also, don't miss the opportunity to get a complimentary headshot from Pneumatic which is a new tech and photography partner. Their technology, for me, is truly mind-blowing and a new and convenient way for you to get your chapter composites ordered in a modern way that works on your time. Raise your hand if you've done this yet. Probably not many people. Sam in the back there has. So we are, and I don't think we have a slide of this, we are creating a composite for the 2023 convention, just as if you see a composite in your chapter house. So I highly recommend, it's very easy for you to do, and it gives you a wonderful way. We want to recognize all of you who are here today. So take a few minutes, check out this great new top technology, and I look forward to, at the Brotherhood Banquet, sharing the brand new 2023 convention composite. How about that? You will also be hearing from speakers about finding your passion, marketing your experience, and growing your chapter. We hope these lessons you learn do not just stay here. As a representative of your chapter, you are responsible for bringing what you learn here back to your brothers so they can grow as well. And you know that saying, what happens in Vegas? Not anymore. Now, I hope you're ready to have a little fun this weekend, too. Are you? Are you going to have some fun? That's what I thought. Immediately after tonight's session, we will have a dessert social where you can mix and mingle with everyone, and most importantly, get to know some of the candidates who we will be voting on at some point in time tomorrow. We'll also be taking advantage of a rooftop pool. But guys, it's hot out there, so make sure you use those water bottles and sunscreen while you're outside. Drink a lot of water. As we celebrate the Brotherhood and honor the rich history of Phi Kappa Tau, we are delighted to inform you that this weekend we will welcome a new member to our Brotherhood. A man who founded his chapter, but unfortunately was unable to initiate when they chartered. Probably because he was doing something boring like working for a professional sports team, such as the Houston Rockets, the Dodgers. Or maybe right now what he's doing now, which is the arena announcer for the Utah Jazz. This Tuesday, we will be initiating My Good Kind as our model initiate into the Zeta Pi chapter at Boston University. It is an initiation that is long overdue and will help connect everyone here back to the ritual of Phi Kappa Tau. I can't think of a better example of honoring our past and forging our future. Oh, and before I move on, I forgot to mention a very exciting development that is on everyone's minds these days: growth and recruitment. We understand the importance of attracting new members and expanding our reach. This weekend, we are introducing the Phi Kappa Tau Growth System. This groundbreaking program will provide our chapters with access to powerful growth tools, empowering them to make a significant impact on their campuses. We want to see our chapters explode with new energy, ideas, passionate individuals who will contribute to the legacy of Phi Kappa Tau. Our goal is ambitious, but we believe in the potential of our fraternity. In 4 years' time, we aim to have 100% of our chapters professionally trained as recruiters. Imagine the impact we can make when every chapter is equipped with the skills and knowledge to effectively recruit exceptional individuals who will carry on the torch of Phi Kappa Tau. This partnership and growth initiative demonstrated our commitment to the future of our fraternity. We believe in the power of Phi Kappa Tau, and we are dedicated to providing our members with the tools they need to succeed. How does that sound? So I've got a new friend that I want to bring up to the stage. Brother Ali Merchant, who is the chapter president at the Zeta Theta chapter at the University of North Texas. Come on up, Ollie. How you doing, Ollie? You excited to be here? I'm excited to be here too. You know, I've heard a lot of things about fight talk. I'm still learning a lot. One thing I learned about is there's some fight talk champ. And I don't really know it. I've heard, I know there's probably multiple versions of this. But I was just wondering, could you help me out a little bit with the Hoorah chant? All right. Let's go, guys. I want to hear this thing. Everybody stand up. Ollie, how'd you go? Hoorah! Hoorah! That was pretty good. I'm pretty impressed. So here's the deal, fellas. I don't want to hear that just tonight. I want to hear it throughout the weekend. Does that sound like a good plan? Yeah. All right. So, there's one person that we haven't heard from. Throughout this weekend, we will be expressing our gratitude to National President Dale Holland for his commitment and dedication to his office and to Phi Kappa Tau. Although he is not able to be with us today, it doesn't mean that we aren't able to make him feel like he's here. I want to bring up Brother National President Barry Mask. Come on up, Barry. National Vice President. Let me get my phone out, fellas. You guys ready to give Brother Dale a nice hi, Dale? All right, hold on a second here. Put this on video. All right, you guys ready? All right, here we go. You guys ready? Yeah! Let's do it. Hi, Dale! Hi, Dale! All right, thank you very much. Without further ado, we do want to hear from what Brother Dale does want to share with you, and so we've got a quick video to let him share his sentiments on this week.
Good afternoon, brothers. I want to thank you for coming here and meeting with us here in beautiful Las Vegas as we celebrate our 65th National Convention of the Phi Kappa Tau Fraternity. I'd like to also remind you, when I took office as National President, I want to thank you for your trust and confidence in me for serving for the past 2 years. As I promised in Oxford, Ohio, my goal was to leave our organization better than I found it, and I can assure you that I have left Phi Kappa Tau Fraternity in better shape than it was 2 years ago. With that, I want to thank everyone for being here, and we have a lot of work to accomplish in the next couple of days during our convention. But I assure you, this will be a meaningful time for you and our brotherhood as we elect new officers and establish constitutional changes and statutes. We have work to attend, but we also have time for fellowship and brotherhood. So welcome again, each and every one of you this evening. First and foremost, I'd like to welcome our past national presidents. This is the largest gathering of past national presidents we've had in years at conventions. I'm really, truly honored years have been tiring and hard, but I know the outcome is very important, just like you gentlemen have done in the past to make our organization better. I'd also like to give a special shout out to Brother Steve Brothers, who's the patriarch of all of our past national presidents. Brother Brothers, it's so good to have you in the audience today, and I'm glad you're here to join us at this convention. Welcome. Additionally, I'd like to welcome all first-time members to attend the Phi Kappa Tau Convention. This is a great opportunity for each and every one of you, but don't let this opportunity slip away. Reach out to new friends and new brothers. Our fraternity is not just a 3 years or 4 years in our undergraduate experience. This is a lifelong commitment to brotherhood and friendship and fellowship. And I hope you take this opportunity to realize the impact that you are having on the future of our organization. The elections that will be held and you'll be voting on during the next couple of days, and changes and recommendations to our constitution and our statutes will last for decades, all because of your hard work. Please take this time to act serious and to focus on bettering your organization, but also take some time for yourself and to reflect on what you've accomplished here in Las Vegas. Thirdly, I'd like to welcome all volunteers and thank you for all your hard work and dedication you put into this convention and in the Phi Kappa Tau fraternity. Without your help, we couldn't be here, we couldn't move forward as an organization. I'd like to also have a special shout out to several of you that continue to come to conventions every 2 years to reaffirm your brotherhood and membership in this Phi Kappa Tau fraternity. Welcome to Las Vegas. I'd be remiss if I didn't publicly welcome Matt Arnold, our new CEO of Phi Kappa Tau fraternity. I can assure you that Matt has been burning the candle at both ends for the last 3 months, putting together this convention, cleaning up our finances, getting Old Main Holding back on solid ground, working tirelessly with the foundation, and also working with the staff as he continues into his endeavors as a new CEO of Phi Kappa Tau. Matt has a lot of positive energy moving in Oxford. I invite you to come to Oxford to meet Matt and see where we're headed in Phi Kappa Tau. He's definitely the right man at the right time for our organization. So welcome, Matt. Also, if I didn't share this before, I'm sharing it now. I want to thank Brother Sam Bennett, Transylvania, 1994 edition into our Theta chapter. I asked Sam to step in when we had a void as a CEO, and Sam agreed to be our interim CEO, and he covered that for a period of 6 months. I originally asked Sam, it would probably be 2 to 3, but it lasted longer. Sam did an amazing job keeping our organization firing on all cylinders. Sam, thank you. I know you're not here with us, but thank you for everything you've done for Phi Kappa Tau. I have always tried to be open and transparent, and I hope you'll do the same as we gather here in Las Vegas for our 65th National Convention. It's imperative that we continue to move for the sake of our fraternity and the sake of Phi Kappa Tau. Move forward, forge into the future. We have a great agenda planned for the next couple of days here in Vegas. We have a lot of work to accomplish, but there's some time for some Phi, and I invite all of you to partake to get to know each other a little bit better as we celebrate our 65th National Convention. And now, I invite my brother Barry Max, our National Vice President, to come forward. And Barry has the gavel in his hand, and he will wrap in the session and signify the official start of the 65th Phi Kappa Tau National Convention. Take it away, Barry.
I guess I'll be the one because Mr. South Florida is a little far away, but here you go. Congratulations, there you go.
Thank you, thank you. Brothers, is it your desire that we begin this 65th National Convention? At this time, procedurally, we are going to take a break and rearrange some things up here. So at this time, I will call on Matt Arnold to explain that, and then we will open back up with the pledge and the invocation and the creed. Okay? All right, we've got about 10 minutes. I know
know there's ice cream and social stuff ahead. So we want to get through the business. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. And we will announce that. So it's 7:27 now. So 7:37, we're going to get right into it. All right, everybody break. And here we go. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, brothers, this time we will start the business proceedings for the 65th National Phi Kappa Tau Convention. For those of you that are undergrads, it has been the stated intent of this National Council that you feel very comfortable in this proceedings today, that you feel comfortable in making motions, asking questions, and listening to discussions on many deliberative issues. We are going to do our best. I'm going to do my best to run a smooth convention. Will there be disagreements? Oh yeah. Will there be raised passions? Definitely. There will be plenty of opportunity to debate these issues. For the graduate delegates, some of you have been before, some of you have not, but the same applies to you. We want you all to feel very comfortable. This is the ultimate supreme body that governs our great fraternity. Now, when you come up procedurally to make a motion, ask a question, I want you to assume the position. And I'm not talking about that thing in Animal House. What I'm talking about is come up, give your name, your chapter, and your school. Okay? Now, I don't care if you come up here 20 times, but I can tell you I'm not going to allow that. But anyway, I want you to always give your name, your chapter, and your school. Okay? So that's how we're going to proceed on that. Now, first of all, to get kicked off tonight and get in the best way, I would like to call on, first of all, to get kicked off tonight and get in the best way, I would like to call on one of my fellow counselors and a veteran to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance, Counselor John Hayes. John?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Councilor Hayes. Next, I'd like to call another member of the council, the gentleman from Nebraska, who I have genuinely enjoyed serving with, and also a foundation trustee, to give our invitation, Brother Warren Maddox. Brother?
Please join me in bowing your head. Your Heavenly Father, who is great and united, will be with us. Please lead us and give us wisdom, give us patience, and give us brotherhood, that we may accomplish the goals of this convention. In your name we pray, amen.
Now, we will proceed to the roll call of delegates. Matt, are you going to do this from here? All right. This gets lengthy. Everybody starts chattering, so if y'all can keep the chatter down, and please respond accordingly. And then after that, we'll have a credentials report from our chairman, Sasha Kinvesky. Come on up, Matt.
Please answer here if you are here. Alpha Chapter Resident Council.
Here.
Alpha Chapter Graduate Council. Beta Resident Council. Beta Graduate Council. Gamma Resident Council. Gamma Graduate Council. Delta Resident Council. Delta Graduate Council. Epsilon Resident Council. Epsilon Graduate Council. Zeta Resident Council. Zeta Graduate Council. Eta Resident Council. Eta Graduate Council. Theta Resident Council. Theta Graduate Council. Iota Resident Council. Iota Graduate Council. Kappa Resident Council. Mu Graduate Council. Nu Resident Council. Omicron Resident Council. Omicron Graduate Council. Pi Resident Council. Pi Graduate Council. Rho Resident Council. Rho Graduate Council. Sigma Resident Council. Sigma Graduate Council. Tau Resident Council. Tau Graduate Council. Upsilon Resident Council. Upsilon Graduate Council. Phi Resident Council. Phi Graduate Council. Chi Resident Council. Chi Graduate Council. Psi Resident Council. Psi Graduate Council. Omega Resident Council. Omega Graduate Council. Alpha Alpha Resident Council. Alpha Alpha Graduate Council. Alpha Beta Resident Council. Alpha Beta Graduate Council. Alpha Gamma Resident Council. Alpha Gamma Graduate Council. Alpha Delta Resident Council. Alpha Delta Graduate Council. Alpha Epsilon Resident Council. Alpha Epsilon Graduate Council. Alpha Zeta Resident Council. Alpha Zeta Graduate Council. Alpha Eta Resident Council. Alpha Eta Graduate Council. Alpha Theta Resident Council. Alpha Theta Graduate Council. Alpha Iota Resident Council. Alpha Iota Graduate Council. Alpha Kappa Resident Council. Alpha Kappa Graduate Council. Alpha Lambda Resident Council. Alpha Lambda Graduate Council. Alpha Mu Resident Council. Alpha Mu Graduate Council. Alpha Nu Resident Council. Alpha Nu Graduate Council. Alpha Xi Resident Council. Alpha Psi Graduate Council. Alpha Omicron Resident Council. Alpha Omicron Graduate Council. Alpha Pi Resident Council. Alpha Pi Graduate Council. Alpha Rho Resident Council. Alpha Rho Graduate Council. Alpha Sigma Resident Council. Alpha Sigma Graduate Council. Alpha Tau Resident Council. Alpha Tau Graduate Council. Alpha Upsilon Resident Council. Alpha Upsilon Graduate Council. Alpha Phi Resident Council. Alpha Phi Graduate Council. Alpha Chi Graduate Council. Alpha Omega, Resident Council. Beta Alpha, Resident Council. Beta Alpha, Graduate Council. Beta Beta, Resident Council. Beta Beta, Graduate Council. Beta Gamma, Resident Council. Beta Gamma, Graduate Council. Beta Delta, Resident Council. Beta Delta, Graduate Council. Beta Epsilon, Resident Council.
Here.
Beta Epsilon, Graduate Council.
Here.
Beta Zeta, Resident Council. Beta Zeta, Graduate Council.
Presente.
Beta Eta, Resident Council. Beta Eta, Graduate Council. Beta Theta, Resident Council. Beta Theta, Graduate Council.
Here.
Beta Iota, Resident Council. Beta Iota, Graduate Council. Beta Kappa, Resident Council. Beta Kappa, Graduate Council. Beta Lambda, Resident Council. Beta Lambda, Graduate Council.
Here.
Beta Mu, Resident Council. Beta Mu, Graduate Council.
Here.
Beta Nu, Resident Council. Beta Mu, Graduate Council. Beta Xi, Resident Council. Beta Z. Beta Z. Graduate Council.
Present.
Beta Omicron, Resident Council.
Here.
Beta Omicron, Graduate Council.
Here.
Beta Pi, Resident Council. Beta Pi, Graduate Council. Beta Rho, Resident Council. Beta Rho, Graduate Council. Beta Sigma, Resident Council. Beta Sigma, Graduate Council. Beta Tau, Resident Council. Beta Tau, Graduate Council. Beta Upsilon, Resident Council. Beta Upsilon, Graduate Council. Beta Phi, Resident Council. Beta Phi, Graduate Council.
Here.
Beta Chi, Resident Council. Beta Chi, Graduate Council. Beta Psi, Resident Council. Beta Psi, Graduate Council. Beta Omega, Resident Council. Beta Omega, Graduate Council. Gamma Alpha, Resident Council. Gamma Alpha, Graduate Council. Gamma Beta, Resident Council. Gamma Beta, Graduate Council. Gamma Gamma, Resident Council. Gamma Gamma, Graduate Council.
Here.
Gamma Delta, Resident Council. Gamma Delta, Graduate Council. Gamma Epsilon, Resident Council. Gamma Epsilon, Graduate Council. Gamma Zeta, Resident Council. Gamma Zeta, Graduate Council. Gamma Eta, Resident Council. Gamma Eta, Graduate Council. Gamma Theta, Resident Council. Gamma Theta, Graduate Council. Gamma Iota, Resident Council. Gamma Iota, Graduate Council.
Here.
Gamma Kappa, Resident Council. Gamma Kappa, Graduate Council. Gamma Lambda, Resident Council. Gamma Lambda, Graduate Council. Gamma Mu, Resident Council. Gamma Mu, Graduate Council. Gamma Nu, Resident Council. Gamma Nu, Graduate Council. Gamma Xi, Resident Council. Gamma Xi, Graduate Council. Gamma Omicron, Resident Council. Gamma Omicron, Graduate Council.
Here.
Gamma Pi, Resident Council. Gamma Pi, Graduate Council. Gamma Rho, Resident Council. Gamma Rho, Resident Council. Gamma Rho, Graduate Council. Gamma Sigma, Resident Council. Gamma Sigma, Graduate Council. Gamma Tau, Resident Council. Gamma Tau, Graduate Council. Several of them. Gamma Upsilon, Resident Council. Gamma Upsilon, Graduate Council. Gamma Phi, Resident Council. Gamma Phi, Graduate Council. Graduate Council. Gamma Chi, Resident Council. Gamma Chi, Graduate Council. I'm sorry, Gamma Omega, Resident Council. Gamma Omega, Graduate Council. Delta Alpha, Resident Council. Delta Alpha, Graduate Council. Delta Beta, Resident Council. Delta Beta, Graduate Council. Delta Gamma, Resident Council. Delta Gamma, Graduate Council. Delta Delta, Resident Council. Delta Delta, Graduate Council. Delta Epsilon, Resident Council. Delta Epsilon, Graduate Council. Delta Zeta, Resident Council. Delta Eta, Graduate Council. We're making progress. Delta Theta, Resident Council. Delta Theta, Resident Council. Delta Theta, Graduate Council. Delta Iota, Resident Council. Delta Kappa, Graduate Council. Delta Lambda, Resident Council. Delta Lambda, Graduate Council. Delta Mu, Resident Council. Delta Mu, Graduate Council. Delta Nu, Resident Council. Delta Nu, Graduate Council. Delta Xi, Resident Council. Delta Xi, Graduate Council. Delta Omicron, Resident Council. Delta Omicron, Graduate Council. Delta Pi, Resident Council. Delta Pi, Graduate Council. Delta Rho, Resident Council. Delta Rho, Graduate Council. Delta Sigma, Resident Council. Delta Sigma, Graduate Council. Delta Tau, Resident Council. Delta Tau, Graduate Council. Delta Upsilon, Resident Council. Delta Upsilon, Graduate Council. Delta Phi, Resident Council. Delta Phi, Graduate Council. Delta Chi, Resident Council. Delta Chi, Graduate Council. Delta Psi, Resident Council. Delta Psi, Graduate Council. Delta Omega, Resident Council. Delta Omega, Graduate Council. Epsilon Alpha, Resident Council. Epsilon Alpha, Graduate Council. Epsilon Beta, Resident Council. Epsilon Beta, Graduate Council. Epsilon Gamma, Resident Council. Epsilon Gamma, Graduate Council. Epsilon Delta, Resident Council. Epsilon Delta, Graduate Council. Epsilon Epsilon, Resident Council. Epsilon Epsilon, Graduate Council. Epsilon Zeta, Resident Council. Epsilon Zeta, Graduate Council. Epsilon Eta, Resident Council. Epsilon Eta, Graduate Council. Epsilon Theta, Resident. Epsilon Iota, Resident Council. Epsilon Iota, Graduate Council. Epsilon Kappa, Resident Council. Thank you. Epsilon Kappa, Graduate Council. Epsilon Lambda Resident Council. Epsilon Lambda Graduate Council. Epsilon Mu Resident Council. Epsilon Mu Graduate Council. Epsilon Nu Resident Council. Epsilon Nu Graduate Council. Epsilon Xi Resident Council. Epsilon Xi Graduate Council. Epsilon Omicron Resident Council. Epsilon Omicron Graduate Council. Epsilon Pi Resident Council. Epsilon Pi Graduate Council. Epsilon Rho Resident Council.
Here.
Epsilon Rho Graduate Council.
Here.
Epsilon Sigma Resident Council. Epsilon Sigma Graduate Council. Epsilon Tau Resident Council. Epsilon Tau Graduate Council. Epsilon Upsilon Resident Council. Epsilon Upsilon Graduate Council. Epsilon Phi Resident Council. Epsilon Phi Graduate Council. Epsilon Chi Resident Council. Epsilon Chi Graduate Council. Epsilon Psi Graduate Council. Epsilon Psi Graduate Council. Epsilon Omega Resident Council. Epsilon Omega Graduate Council. Zeta Alpha Resident Council. Zeta Alpha Graduate Council. Zeta Beta Resident Council. Zeta Beta Graduate Council. Zeta Gamma Resident Council. Zeta Gamma Graduate Council. Zeta Delta Resident Council. Zeta Delta Graduate Council. Zeta Epsilon Resident Council. Zeta Delta Graduate Council. Zeta Epsilon Resident Council. Zeta Epsilon Graduate Council. Zeta Zeta Resident Council. Zeta Zeta Graduate Council. Zeta Eta Resident Council. Zeta Eta Graduate Council. Zeta Theta Resident Council. Zeta Theta Graduate Council. Zeta Iota Resident Council. Zeta Iota Graduate Council. Zeta Kappa Resident Council. Zeta Kappa Graduate Council. Zeta Lambda Resident Council. Zeta Lambda Graduate Council. Zeta Mu Resident Council. Zeta Mu Graduate Council. Zeta Nu Resident Council. Zeta Nu Graduate Council. Zeta Xi Resident Council. Zeta Xi Graduate Council. Zeta Omicron Resident Council. Zeta Omicron Graduate Council. Zeta Pi Resident Council. Zeta Pi Graduate Council. Zeta Rho Resident Council. Zeta Rho Graduate Council. Zeta Sigma Resident Council. Zeta Sigma Graduate Council. I'm going to be dreaming Greek letters all week long as the final report and of the chapters. Logan, are we set for the vote? We're good. All right, everybody's got their clickers. So this will formally adopt the numbers recorded into our session. When Logan is ready to go, then we will click in all delegates.
Well, Matt, would a vote test sound fun first?
We can do a vote test first. I think that's a good idea.
All right, this one I think is on a lot of people's minds. Okay, let's get that first.
Okay.
I do.
Sorry, we're not quite done with the roll call. Former national presidents, Stephen Brothers. Here. Greg Holland. Charlie Ball. Here. Bill Crane. Greg Holland is here. Bill Mason. Stephen Nelson.
Here.
Rick Kellner.
Present.
Stephen Nelson.
Here.
Rick Kellner.
Present.
Mike Davila. Bill Brash. National Council, Alan Shaw. Michael Loomis. Michael French. Ray Carlos. John Hayes. Got it. Ricky Bailey. Jeff Hilperts. Doug Athens. National Vice President Mary Mask. National President Dale Holland. Records show that Warren Maddox is in for Jeff Hilperts. Do the roll call. Okay, are we ready for the test now? Did I get everything, everybody? You see, you got the rookie up here, so we'll get through this. Okay, Logan, all you.
All right, everybody, we have a vote test up here. What you're gonna do is you have your clicker. There's 3 buttons there for yes, no, and abstain. What we're voting on today, and you can kind of read it, we're gonna work on getting that text bigger for you for future votes, but it's Vegas is too dang hot. Yes, no, or abstain. This is a great way to check out how our voting system works. You can see, all we see is the total. All right, we don't see who's voting for yes, who's voting for no. Think. Also, within our system, we just have the number of our clicker associated with your vote. That also feeds to our registration list that you got at your credentials table. So it's a completely anonymous system. We encourage you not to share your number or what you're voting with unless that's kind of your prerogative. But we just want to ensure that this is a confidential vote, and we will get the results here very shortly. We have 62 votes in. Can I get a general idea of how many voting delegates we should be looking for? 99 have clickers. All right, we have 99 people in the room with clickers right now. Now, I would love to see that number get into the 90s, because we want to make sure everybody is familiar with our voting system. I know it's a tough one. Some people think Vegas is quite temperate. It's not too dang hot. That's okay. Vote no. Maybe you're on the fence. You don't have enough information. It's only been a day. Abstain. You've been boiling in the sweltering heat. It is indeed too dang hot. Vote yes. You can see we can also hide the counts with our amazing multi-cam system. I want to see 6 more, but at the risk of making this excruciating, we may call it soon. for 3 more folks. 3 more. All right. I think we're going to call it. Don, could you hit the space bar for me? Good. Hit it again. Hit the space bar.
Logan, it shows on the clicker how you voted, right? Okay.
Yes, you get a digital screen that says what your current input is at. So you can see the results are in. We have 58 yes, 24 no, 6 have abstained. It's official, Vegas is too dang hot.
All right. And I can assure you, I'm not gonna let you take that long. So, and just as a point before I introduce our parliamentarian, PJ Best, for most of these, I'm gonna ask a show of hands. Now, if it looks close, we have a division of the House call, we will move to the clicker, okay? All right, with that, I would like to introduce our parliamentarian, PJ Best, from our Rochester Institute of Technology chapter, just to go over a few points and give you some pointers, and then we will get rolling and move on from the fun trees. After that, we're going to have Sasha give a delegate's credentials report, how many you have, and then I'm going to queue up, he was out of the room a while ago, but I'm going to queue up for the creed, Jonah Edgerton from our Grand State chapter is off to a great start. He's going to recite the creed. So, PJ, come on up.
Thank you, Brother Mask. I appreciate the opportunity. Good evening, everyone. I will be your parliamentarian for the convention. In the same vein that we've been going with this accessibility, trying to make sure everyone feels comfortable. If you have a question about the procedure, how do I do this, how do I do that, please feel free to grab me. As long as I'm not right in the middle of something, I can try to guide you to make sure that you're doing things the right way. I will give you some general pointers on how things are going to be going. I do understand that there was some sort of orientation for the undergraduate members. But when you are speaking, you do need to be at a microphone, so you do have to stand up and walk to a microphone on 2 different sides. You do have to introduce yourself by your name, your chapter designation, and your school. You do have to do that so that we can record that for the record. In terms of voting, we're going to get the numbers soon in terms of what numbers we're working with for quorum. But generally, when we're working on most motions, unless Brother Mask indicates otherwise, most of these are going to be done by majority vote, and that's going to be done by members who are present and voting. The abstention button on your clicker is a neat tool, but as many of you know, for most parliamentary procedure, for most votes, the abstention is the same as if you just didn't vote at all. So you can press the button if it makes you feel good, but it's also, if you just press no button, it has practically the same effect. So on each vote, Brother Mask will be indicating the method that we're voting. It may not always be done by clicker. If it's a quick thing, it's not going to take too much time. We should agree on it. We're probably going to be doing voice votes to move quickly. On that same vein, we have a very tight agenda. So I do know that we're going to be trying to move things very quickly. From a parliamentary standpoint, if we can try to keep things organized, and as I said, if you want to ask me how to do things, if you feel like you need to make a motion or something and you're not really sure how to do that, we'd like to just keep things organized so that things move quickly without any interruptions or with any parliamentary issues. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Brother Mask.
Brother President, just a question for Mr. Best as parliamentarian, Brother Best.
Please assume the position.
Bill Crane, Beta Z chapter, University of Georgia, former national president. Abstentions are also used when you feel there might be a conflict of interest, or if you don't believe you have enough information about the issue of hand being voted on to cast a ballot. Would that not be correct?
That is correct, but from a mathematical standpoint, it has the same effect as if you didn't vote.
I'm speaking more to conscience than to math, but thank you for the
Yes.
clarification.
Thank you, BJ. Next, Sasha Konvesky, if you can give the report from right there, be great. We need to test out that mic anyway. Thank you, Brother Konvesky, of the credentials.
Hello, gentlemen. Sasha Konevsky, Epsilon Kappa, Rutgers University. I'm the committee chairman for the Credentials Committee. I'd like to thank my other committee chairman, William Hellier, and my other committee members, Jim Kiefer and Phil Ford. We have 75 active chapters. This does not include associate chapters. So 75 active, which means we need 38 to receive quorum. We have quorum as we have 43 undergraduates represented, 52 graduate councils, and 4 past national presidents. Some past national presidents and national councils are serving as graduate council representatives as well, so that works out in math. 89 total delegates. Any questions?
Can you slowly restate the undergrad, grad, national presidents, and the total? Thank you.
Sure. So for quorum, we need 38 total. We have 43 undergraduate delegates represented, 52 graduate council representatives, and 4 past national presidents. Again, the graduate council number contains past national presidents and national councilors that are serving as graduate councilors as well.
Could you say 90 is the total?
We have 89 total.
89.
Correct.
Okay. And what is quorum?
38.
Of those present. All right. Any questions of the Credentials Committee? Brother Hayes, Councilor Hayes. Assume the position.
John Hayes gave a talk, Old Dominion. The mathematics don't play out. 43, 54, 4.
99 is what I asked.
That's what I was asking. I was doing that in my head. Oh, I had the new math, so I wasn't sure. So it is 99?
My mistake, 99 total delegates.
Okay, no problem. Any further questions of the Credentials Committee? What does the gentleman rise for? State your
Bill
name.
Crane, Vacancy Chapter. Just for clarification, 4 past national presidents with 9 on the floor and 10 attending. There are no people voting in both categories, correct?
Correct. Yeah, we brought that up. Also, it should be noted, make sure I am correct, that past national presidents cannot vote on constitutional amendments. Is that correct? In national. Thank you, Jeff. All right. Sasha?
That is the end of my report. If anybody has any questions, if you have received your clicker, please come see me or Drake in the back. And the committee don't have to meet tonight. I will inform you with me for any reason whatsoever. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, proceeding on with some. You heard earlier how our Clemson chapter got off to one of the fastest, most successful starts ever, and it is indeed been a model. We also have a chapter at Grand Valley State University in Michigan, and they are an associate chapter now, but they sent 2 of their delegates here, and I've given the honor of reciting our creed to the president of that associate chapter, to Jonah Edgerton. Jonah, come on up. Let's give him a hand.
My name is John Anderson. I'm from the Zeta Sigma chapter of Phi Kappa Tau at Grand Valley State, and I'll be reading our creed. Please, everybody, please stand. Phi Kappa by admitting me to membership has conferred upon me a mark of distinction which I take just pride. I believe in the spirit of brotherhood for which it stands. I shall strive to attain its ideals and by doing to bring it under. I shall be loyal to my college and my chapter and to keep strong ties with the spirit of youth. I shall be a good and loyal citizen. I shall try always to discharge the obligation to others which arises from the fact that I am a fraternity man.
Thank you, Joe. Next, we have a report from the minutes, and we've had some issues with minutes. At this time, the chair would entertain a motion to suspend the rules to defer the minutes till later in the agenda. Do I have a motion? Come to the microphone, let's get a record.
Max Strauss, Upsilon Chapter, Nebraska West.
State your name and chapter again.
Max Strauss, Upsilon Chapter, Nebraska West. So,
Thank you. Do I have a second?
Scott Brown, Delta Kappa, University of Tennessee, second.
Seconded by Scott Brown. Any further discussion? All those for, please signify by raising your hand. Oh, we have one more? Do we have a?
Pointing.
All right.
That's not the correct motion.
Assume-
Jacobin is, Gamma Gamma.
Assume the position. Name and chapter.
I just did.
Do it again.
John, Jack Albinus, Gamma Gamma, St. John's University. So that's not the correct motion. It's a change the orders of the day. So that's the correct motion. You're changing the orders of the day, which is the national theme.
Okay.
So, just to.
So we're changing the
As
order.
long as the maker and the second is okay.
Max Strauss, Upsilon Chapter, Nebraska West, and so moved.
Scott Brown, Delta Kappa, University, second.
Motion's been amended to change the order. Any further discussion? If not, all those for, please raise your hand. Any against? Motion passes. All right. Next, we need to hear from Jameson Hurd, co-chairman, order of proceedings, and we may need a motion to change the agenda that differs somewhat from the Constitution Convention. Can we have a motion to adopt the agenda as shown on the screen?
For their Vice President, Jordan Lowe, Beta Lambda, the University. I move to change the order of the day based on the agenda that is posted on the screen.
Do we have a second?
Jameson Hurd, Delta Beta, Evansville, second.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Any further discussion? If not, all those for, please signify by saying wait. Now the minutes are in the wrong order, Ron.
No, not quite. So Jack Albinus, St. John's University, Gamma Gamma. You have to make the body aware of what the changes are. You can't just say we're going from this to that, right? So generally the strikes and the adds are something you should indicate. to the body? Because do you all know what's changing? Right? How many of you are going to vote yes on that? So you should know what the changes are before you vote.
All right, Logan, do you have a constitution up on the screen? You can pull the constitution up.
We have the order of proceedings as outlined in the statutes currently on the screen.
Brother President, point of order.
State your name and point.
Scott Brown, Delta County University, Tennessee. I don't know if everybody heard Jack with what's going on. So in our Constitution statutes, we have a set order of the day that we have to follow. We have decided as the planners of this to adjust that order. And so this motion that you're seeing right now is to adjust the orders of the day to fit what we need them to do. You heard one motion a moment ago to move the reading of the minutes later for a reason that they talked about there. What's trying to go on now is to reset the agenda to what we needed for this particular convention. So I know people were asking about that, and I don't think people quite understood that when Jack came up here. Thank you, Brother President.
Scott, let me make an inquiry of you. So we know it's different from the Constitution, and we're saying so. So what we're saying is we'd like the authority to do that.
Correct.
Okay.
And what Jack was saying is you need to specifically say what you're moving.
Okay. This one. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. This is the new order that will be different, and then we're going to ask the two makers of the motion to verify that, and then we'll vote. All right? Opening ceremony, pledge of allegiance, roll call, reading of previous meetings, report of enactments, report of officers, communications and appeals, report of committees. No. No. All right. So we're stopping where? That's not what we just done. Okay. So we're going to report of the grad nominating committee. Place name in the nomination. New business, legislation on. Is that correct? Okay. So that's the order. Do I need any further? Jordan, Scott, will y'all amend as so moved as I just stated?
Can you repeat how you're changing things? Because I don't know the body.
Thank you.
Brother Vice President, can you repeat the new order for the body? Can we have something displayed on the screen? I think that'd be helpful for the body.
Open the ceremony, pledge of allegiance, roll call, report of the graduate nominating committee, placing the names in nomination, new business, announcements, recess.
I'll nominate.
Thank you. Have a second.
Mr. Herbert, Delta Bay Labs.
Thank you. Any further discussion? I think we're in proper posture now. All right. All those for, please signify by raising your hand. All against? Ayes have it. All against? Ayes have it. Thank you. All right, let's go. Report of the enactments of the National Council.
Brother President, Bill Crane, Bethesda Chapter, University of Georgia. I'm motioning to table, and I know I need to wait for a second, but there are multiple actions of this National Council since the last convention that are rather significant that the convention floor is going to be learning more about. The next couple of days, I'd like to table the enactments as we just did with the minutes to a later point in time at the pleasure of the presiding officer.
All right, that would be a change in the orders of the day.
So moved.
All right.
Phil Ford, Delta Sigma Chapter, Weber International University, second.
Been motioned and seconded. Any further discussion? Councilor Hayes, that one.
John Hayes, Gamatol, Oakland University. I'm not certain why we are postponing the report of the enactments. All it is a list of decisions that have already been made and placing it in the record. So discussion of what those topics are and the reports that come from those topics and those decisions will still be addressed during this body. It is just a listing of the items that have already been made by the council, by the board.
Are we in discussion? We have a motion.
Hold on, brother.
Motion in second, and then discussion. We are in discussion.
Well, that's what I was, hold on, we're not sure if the motion and change of order is debatable. No, it's different from motion to table. Okay. Motion to change of order is debatable. All right, let me get this clear, Mr. Craig. So there's two issues here. One is entering in the record and reading them. And then, Mr. Hayes, were you going to move to approve those or just enter them into the record? Hold on, let me get Mr. Hayes.
I cannot move them into the record right now or read them because we have a motion on the floor, but my perspective would be is read them. Decisions are there, and then make a decision where we're done. But if we're just going to delay, I don't think this is the topic that needs delayed unless there's a belief there's something wrong in the published report that has already been sent out. The minutes we delayed because there is errors in those minutes that need to be corrected before we can approve them. If there's an error in this that needs to be corrected, I'm happy to delay it. But if we're just doing it to delay it, I believe it needs to get reported, and then we can figure out where we move forward on it.
Fair enough, Mr. Hayes. Mr. Crane, I'll give you 2 minutes to respond.
I don't even need 30 seconds. There are actions in the enactments. I take John's point that we want to report out. The enactments were sent to the delegates of this convention via email this morning. So I don't believe most of them, while they've been traveling to get here, had an opportunity to review them. But perhaps more importantly, we typically accept the report and adopt. We accept the enactments, and this convention floor adopts, essentially rubber stamping and approving the action of the council during the prior 2 years. If that's not what we're doing, this is my 20th convention, missing one. Not what we're doing. This is my 20th convention, missing one since 1981. We have accepted and adopted. So if that's not what we're doing, I can withdraw. But We didn't receive this until this morning, and there are some significant actions taken by the board, particularly at the May and June meetings of 2023.
So the understanding is it is a report on the enactments. It does not confer approval. Now, if that motion comes, we can do that later, but it isn't just a report on the enactments.
Then I withdraw my motion.
Thank you,
It's
sir.
only a report and not an adoption by the body, the governing body of the tax return.
Thank you, Brother Crane. Brother Hayes, would you like to proceed? Okay. Go ahead.
John Hayes, Old Dominion, John Hayes, Gamatau, Old Dominion University. Do we have slides for the enactments? So over the course of the last 2 years, the council, as you all are aware, have done yeoman's work in different aspects of our fraternal operations. This is a recap of the highlights, sometimes also considered lowlights, of the work that was performed by the council in the past 2 years. This is the highlights. It's not every motion that we did. It's not every discussion we made. It's not every report you're going to see from council's actions. This is just the highlights of what we've done to inform the body itself. Next slide, please. I wrote this report down slightly different than what we've had in the past. We tried to run it by chapter actions, business actions, and that stuff. So here's the chapter actions. Our very first move, due to hazing violations, required us to close Indiana University. So that's what we did. We then approved a charter for Omega Associate Chapter, University of Wisconsin-Madison, suspended the charter Alpha Alpha at Michigan State, suspended the charter at Delta Chi at University of Rochester, initiated the men of Zeta Mu, and I just want to bring this to everybody's attention. This is slightly different than what we've done in the past. Zeta Mu at Appalachian State University had a charter previously and had been designated a lettered organization with us. So they had a lettered chapter. Because of that, our constitution and bylaws allow us to initiate those men into the brotherhood, even though their charter was not active at the time. We have found that by doing so, we retain more of our associate members going through the chartering process. And because of this, this was an attempt to see how that worked at Appalachian State. It was an overall success, and you will see that we've done it further since then. We approved the charter petition at Zeta Mu. That was a couple months after the initial approval to initiate them. And then approved the charter petition of Delta Theta at Georgetown College. We revoked the charter of Epsilon Omega at Shepherd University. It was due to not enough people. We voted to initiate the men of the Epsilon Nu Associate Chapter that's Clemson University. Same reason that we did it before. We found that it's successful, and there may be some discussion of trying to make this more a standard. We suspended the charter of Pi Chapter, University of Southern California, for inappropriate risk management behaviors. And then we finally yesterday morning, approved the charter petition of Epsilon Nu, Clemson University. Next slide, please. This gives us some fuzzy math. We started with 79 chapters. We approved 4 additional charters. We then suspended or revoked 6 charters, and we now stand at 80 total chapters. The oddness of that is still beyond me. Okay, so 80 is total groups, including the associate chapters. That's why it doesn't look, the mathematics don't work out the same way. So we've sort of stagnated. That's what I'm gonna call it. Stagnation, we haven't really rolled. So next slide, please. These are the awards that we presented. There are two that are not listed. I will not read those out, but they will be presented later on this weekend, or this week. So we approved the Phi Award for Alan Wood, Gamma Alpha, approved the presidential citation for Ashton Reynolds from Zia Chi, approved presidential citation for Allison Sonka. Allison was our representative from Series Fund for, I don't know how long, but I will tell you, I've been going to this since 2006, and I feel like she's been there as long as I have. So multiple years as our point person to Series Fund. She decided to move on from Series Fund to a different position. And so because of that, we thought for her work to us, that she deserved a presidential citation. And then finally, we approved James Bacon from Gamma Alpha for a Phi Award. There are two Palm Awards that are not listed here that will be presented this week to two members. Those will be published once that time comes. Business actions, I'm not going to run through this word verbatim. Risk management policy was updated, document retention policy was updated, disciplinary procedures were updated. Those are all published on the website. You're welcome to read them, you should read them, you should understand what's going on with them. We took the risk management officer and now made him vice president inside all of our supporting councils, trying to show that risk management is an important aspect of our world. And we need those individuals that are filling those roles to be on the executive boards and involved in all decision-making involved. Establish the standing committees for education, governance, ethics, ritual, diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility. So those are all new standing committees that are there all the time. We've appointed everything except I think the ethics committee is still lacking of appointments, and the next president will need to accomplish that if that's what he wishes to do. We replaced the 2022 conclave with Growth Summit, which was successful from my understanding. I did not attend, but it was a great activity, and I believe it worked out. It helped us with our recruitment numbers as seen through the strategic planning stuff. Diet Strategies was accepted as a risk management study system. That's where you all now get those great surveys. You're going to start seeing them once every semester that you're filling out, that everybody in your chapter is filling out. That's building us data. And that data then allows the executive level, all the way down to the chapter level, your VOGs, everybody to get a report and to understand what's going on in your chapter on a regular basis, to understand what the risk mitigation requirements we may need to take. But in addition to that, to provide what education resources we need to provide to our undergraduate men to make them more successful. We accepted the resignation of our former CEO, Tim Hudson, immediately appointed Sam Medley, as Dale described, as the interim CEO. Next slide. Partnered with Column Fundraising almost immediately to help conduct the CEO search. We expanded President's Academy to Zenith Officer Institute. So instead of just the presidents going, now we get 4 or 5 people from every chapter that are going. We finally found Matt Arnold, wherever he happens to be right now, and selected him for the CEO position. An important aspect that's going to come up later is we approved a matrix of financial control between the National Council and the CEO. He has clear guidelines on what he's allowed to spend without our approval and what he has to come to us on and get that approval, and that's all the way through the staff itself. So a director is authorized to spend a certain amount before they have to get the CEO's approval. CEO is authorized a certain amount before he has to get the National Council's approval. So the idea of moving money around and expending money without the National Council being aware of it is now under control and in a position that we will know what's going on. We finally, the other day, approved the CEO to sign loans concerning the Kappa housing situation, which you will all hear about in a full Kappa housing report that will likely take several hours of our time to grasp it and debate it and understand what went on. This item itself was only done to memorialize our loans that have already been issued. That'll come forward, but that's what the lab was. I don't believe there's another slide, but just in case. Membership actions. We had 2 really good membership actions this time. As a national, I've never seen it come before. Been here since 2006. I've never seen this reported on our stuff. We had 2 men to us that voluntarily withdrew from the organization for whatever reason it happened to be. and they petitioned back to the National Council to rejoin the Brotherhood. And so the two men listed up there, I'm not going to destroy their names. Those two men, the National Council reversed their voluntary withdrawal, and now they are considered full-fledged members of the fraternity again. I will, one thing I'd like to say on this, if you know brothers that have left during your undergraduate time or your graduate years as everybody, if you know brothers that have left that will come back to the fold, have them apply. There's no reason that a brother that couldn't afford his dues when he was an undergraduate man can't be part of his dues when he was an undergraduate man, can't be part of our brotherhood. I'd love to see more of these approved and reported to you all in the next convention cycle. Brother President, Brother Chair, that concludes the report.
Thank you, Brother Hayes. Next, before we get to the report of the graduate nominating committee, I'm just going to take a point of privilege because we're getting some inquiries, and I've already let the convention chairman know this. I'm going to ask the convention chairs and co-chairs to come to either mic and introduce themselves to the delegates and tell them what the charge of their committee is and let the delegates see who they are in case they have things to bring to these respective committees. So with that, Sasha, do you want to go first?
I do, but I have quite a big break from Brother Hayes' presentation. Brother Sasha Konevsky, Epsilon Kappa, Rutgers University. Point of inquiry, can we see the minutes from the National Council meetings for all those actions?
Can we see the minutes?
Correct.
Yeah, that's a good question. How are they voting? Okay, but could we make them available tomorrow? Could you give 20 copies? Okay. That work?
Yeah, thank you. And Brother Sasha Konevsky, Credentials Committee Chair. We deal with credentialing, so if you need a clicker, come see me or any committee members. Thank you.
Next, from jurisprudence. Jameson and Ron. Go ahead.
I'm Jameson Hurt, and we're the jurisprudence meeting chairs. We deal with constitutional amendments, statutes, and even like interpretations of the Constitution.
Speak up.
Speak up. Speak it to the mic.
Yes, we deal with constitutional amendments and statutes.
All right. Ron, is that it? Thank you. Please introduce yourself, assume the position. Yes.
Andy Booth, Beta Chi, Southern Illinois. I'm the chairman of the Delegates Request Committee. Basically, the charge review and act on matters sent to the committee by the matter will be referred back to the floor of the convention. Basically, we're kind of the fun committee. A very, very quick meeting over there after this.
And who do you have? Justin Tardy? Is Justin here? Okay. Just wave again, Justin, let everybody see you. Thank you. All right, thank you, Brother Fruit. Next, resolutions. Chad Warren, and I have appointed Victor Ambrose, could not be here. I have appointed Nathaniel Greavy from Alpha Rho at Georgia Tech. Nathaniel, please raise your hand as the undergrad co-chair. Brother Ward.
Chad Warren, So we will be writing the resolutions for the convention. So awards, recognition, thanks, appreciation, and we'll be presenting those to the floor. And we will meet over in that corner after the convention session.
Tonight? Okay, immediately upon recess? Okay, thank you very much. Okay, thank you very much. Ritual, is Brother Lipinski made it? Thank you. Come on up, Brother Lipinski. Good to see you, Dave. And Dane Westfall, you made it.
David Lipinski, I'm on chapter university and 6 hours on an airplane today. As ritual committee, we're charged with any questions come up concerning our ritual. We'll also be organizing model initiation. We'll have it later. With volunteers to assist with the ritual itself. I'd like to use a combination of both undergraduates and graduates. So, and I have yet to, and my co-chair is he in the room?
Dane Westfall. In the back out there. Make sure Dave.
You and I get together and we'll figure out what we're doing then. But thank you very much, and my apologies for being a little under.
Now, Brother Lipinski, I can tell you from experience that breakdancing will catch up with you. It really will. Also, what time are we doing the model initiation? And I'd like to tell the delegates, if you've never been to one, a couple of things. First of all, you'll see it done right, and it is a really beautiful, beautiful thing to watch. But what time is that scheduled for?
What I saw the schedule is for 4 o'clock on Tuesday to 5:15. We're going to, as part of that, there'll be a post-ritual explanation, a little bit more expanded. We're going to, as part of that, there'll be a post-ritual explanation, a little bit more expanded to help people with background. I believe we go from there to the picture.
Okay.
So it's on Tuesday afternoon. We will be having a rehearsal prior to that. There's some free time available for that after we close convention, so we'll try to organize for that.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Chair will assist you in soliciting more volunteers. Thank you. Thank you. Education Committee, Dr. Stansberry, Lucas Henry, and Kate Swanson. Come on down. Please speak in the mic. There you go.
Lucas Henry, Sod Chapter, University of Colorado Boulder, co-chair with Kate Swanson, Doxton. We're in charge of education. So we're going to be mainly addressing the education of officers during like Zenith and officer retreats at President's Academy. So over the coming days, we'll discuss more of that. And also, we're meeting at 9:30.
9:30, where will you meet?
In one of the rooms.
Okay. Anybody else? Thank you very much. Recruitment, Jeremy DeMaio and Justin Chamberlain. Justin, please. Go ahead.
Jeremy DeMaio, Longwood College, Epsilon.
Justin Chamberlain, Epsilon Leo, Clemson University.
So we are the recruitment committee, the second most on committee tonight. We're going to focus on best practices for recruitment for our chapters and our associate chapters, development of a model, potential new member program, and other issues related to growth and expansion.
Okay, we'll be talking about the new program tonight, and you also have a recruitment report prepared by our National Recruitment Advisor, Taylor Johnson, that will have that. Okay? Thank you. Next, we will move into the report of the graduate nominating committees. After they give their report, we will place names into nominations. Unlike other past conventions, we will not close nominations to give people the opportunity, if they want to run to the top, drop, they can. So, Jeff Baird is not making, who's doing it? Jack, are you doing it? Move out of the way, man. So. Says gentleman, Mal, do you have something?
Yes, Mal Pacheco, new chapter.
Says gentleman, Mal, do you have something?
Yes, Mal Pacheco, when do you want the scholarship committee to introduce themselves in our scholarship committee to introduce themselves in our?
I am sorry I left that off, Mal, and I stand corrected. Mal Pacheco, please give us a scholarship committee report.
Scott Siegel, Alpha Tau Chapter, Cornell University. So Mal and I run a scholarship committee. Our charge on paper to review existing scholarship standards for adequacy and potential revision. What that means, your scholarship, don't think money scholarship, think getting good grade scholarship.
One of the things we need to let you know is we believe we are out of compliance with the NIC standards, so that's one of the things we're going to be looking at. We are going to meet very, very briefly this evening to just connect so we know who's on the committee. If you have not looked at your badge, on the bottom right-hand corner, there is a word. If it says scholarship, you will be joining us immediately after this. If you exit these doors, turn to the right, go down to the hall, turn right, and go to the end. That is the scholarship room. And we will meet for no more than three or four minutes just to get your names and schedule things for tomorrow.
Thank you. And again, my apologies. All right. Jack Alvenus will give us a report from the graduate nominating committee.
President Jack Alvenus, St. John's University, Gamma Gamma. As you all are aware, the committee report was circulated, so we're not going to actually read out the details. But more importantly, just to talk about the people we want to place into nomination. So for those who are being placed in nomination by the committee, I ask you to stand so that when I call your name, so that the folks can see you, because the point of the ice cream social is so that people can congregate and have conversations with you and, you know, get information about them. Okay, so the VP candidate is Michael Macron in the back there. And the two national counselor positions, Alan Shaw and Scott Brown. Oh. So that concludes our report as it was submitted. Thank you.
Tim Holman, Alpha Rho Chapter, Georgia Tech. I move that the report of the graduate nominating committee be accepted.
Mike Rosser, Alpha Sigma Chapter, Colorado State. I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to accept the graduate nominating committee report. Now, this has no ramifications on elections. It says that the report's been accepted. Any further discussion?
Sasha Konevsky, Epsilon Kappa, Rutgers University. Discussion points. How do we change the rules of the graduate nominating committee?
Thank you. I'll be glad to address that. I think the council has spent considerable time on this issue past 4 months, and I think there's going to be a new formula coming up. If anybody else wants to speak to it from the council, you can, but I think we are definitely wanting some more transparency and a new process.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. It's been motion and second. Any further discussion to accept the graduate nominating report? All right, Mr. Hayes. Point of information.
Point of information, John Hayes, Cold Dominion, Gimatall. Is this the final report of the graduate nominating committee, or is this an interim report?
It will be it's the final report unless circumstances changes. So for example, one of the folks that we slated into one of the two positions winds up getting another position, then the committee will be prepared to put another person into nomination on that matter.
Would that answer your question? Would you be so kind to label it an interim report?
Exactly.
So what do you want to do? Make it an interim report? let's get the posture. Is that so? So what do you want to do? Make it an interim report? Let's get the posture. Is that so moved as an interim report?
Yes, that was the committee's intention.
All right, do we have a second? It doesn't need one, John move. Ascended, but Brother Rosser is coming just in case to clean up.
I know, I'm moving faster.
That was pretty good.
Yeah, let's get to the next screen. Mike Rosser, Alpha Sigma Chapter, Colorado State.
Thank you, sir. All right, let's take a vote. All those for, please signify by raising your hands. Delegates only. Delegates only. All those opposed? Ayes have it.
Parliamentary inquiry. Gentleman from Georgia is recognized. State your name and chapter. Ragsdale, Beta chapter of the University of Georgia. I apologize for my attire. We farmed at 10 degrees outside, and we're going to a barbecue in a few minutes. We don't wear ties. We don't wear ties. Do what you want to. I'm not wearing a tie. Okay. The parliamentary inquiry is as follows. Is it accepted our convention currently operates under a set of standard rules? Is it accepted our convention currently operates under a set of standard rules published on June 23rd and generally available?
I would say from the chair, it is generally accepted. Is it available? My standard, probably not, but we could make some improvements there.
Then is it your understanding, based on the rules, whichever set we are operating under, that candidates for national office would be limited to 3 minutes for their election remarks?
Yeah, under the rules, but those can be,
Given the election of a national president and a national vice president, which will come from the floor, would you consider this to be somewhat of a...
Well, I've been to some pretty raucous ones, but yeah, I would say that.
Would you consider this election to be a watershed event for Phi Kappa Tau?
Say that again, brother.
Would you consider this election to be a watershed event for Phi Kappa Tau?
It could, but let me just tell you, brother, we're getting a little bit out of order here. If you have a motion, you need to make it.
Given our general agreement then, would you as convention chair accept a motion pertinent to this exchange?
If you will make said motion, we can. We need somebody to second it, and we'll give it up to the body.
Move a change in convention rules to allow each presidential candidate up to a 10-minute presentation, each vice presidential candidate up to a 7-minute presentation, and each council candidate up to a 5-minute presentation. That's my motion.
That's fine. So we have a 10-7-5. Do we have a second for that motion?
Jay Absher, Beta Kappa, Oklahoma State, I second.
Thank you, Brother Absher. The motion is to allow presidential candidates 10 minutes, vice president candidates 7 minutes, and national council candidates 5 minutes. Any further discussion? Pretty simple motion.
Sasha Konevsky, Epsilon Kappa, Rutgers University. Is point of inquiry, is there going to be a Q&A session as well?
Say that again.
Is there going to be a Q&A session with each of the candidates as well?
Or not? Not yet. Let me dispense with this motion first.
Okay, thank you.
Matt saying we've already baked in essentially the same thing, but the motion is still good. Maybe redundant, but the motion is still good. All right, any further discussion? All those for, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? The ayes have it. All right.
Brother President, John Hayes, Home Meeting.
Yes, sir.
Whoever fixes the mic needs to figure it out. I would like to move to alter this body. Tie during session.
All right, do we have a second to strike the requirement of a tie on the floor? And would you accept any further amendments? Awesome, okay. State your name, chapter.
Jonathan Bates, Beta Phi, Westminster College.
Second. Any discussion? Anybody want to amend that? Brother Hayes, could I entertain an amendment to that we scrap the tie and the jacket? Unless you are speaking to a motion, you have to return the jacket. Would you amend your motion? Is there a second for that? So, yeah, this mic's janky. All right, any further discussion? All right, all those for, please signify by raising your hand. All those that want to burn up, raise your hand. The ayes have it. Thank you, Brother Hayes. Thank you. All right, we're moving right along. For what purpose does the gentleman rise?
Jaden Manager, Vandy Calhoun, Oklahoma State. Regarding the election, I want to clarify something. Is it to be tomorrow morning? The votes?
Yes, on the schedule is tomorrow.
Okay. I feel as though that's not necessarily enough time for us to get to meet our candidates and really decide on them. It's a pretty big thing for us undergrads, kind of deciding the future of us. And I would like to motion to suspend the agenda and give powers to the presiding chairman and hopes to move it to Tuesday.
State your motion again.
I want a motion to suspend the agenda, the election, and move it to Tuesday. Change the order date.
Yep, and give the presiding officer discretion.
He's making a motion to change the order of the day, and the presiding officer in charge of when that election falls.
I appreciate that, Brother Graham, but he's made the order, so I want to be sure the gentleman from Oklahoma State, is that your intention?
Correct.
Okay.
Motion to change the date and the order to the presiding officer.
All right.
Point of inquiry, that's actually out of order, you can't do that. The change of the order today is very deliberate, and that is that you actually changing the orders of the day. You can't delegate out that responsibility, which is a majority vote of this body, to an individual.
All right. Jack, how does the gentleman get in the position to make
That's where he wants to move it to. So for example, if his suggestion, I'm just spitballing here, but his suggestion is, I want to vote on this on Tuesday, then I want to move it to an agenda item for Tuesday.
Okay. Help the gentleman out, because what we're trying to do here is to help the undergrads out. So I will recognize the gentleman to make a new motion.
I would like to motion to change the elections to Tuesday at 10:30.
Okay. Specific, time specific, all right. What does the gentleman next rise for?
Patrick Huntington, Alpha Rho Chapter, Georgia Tech, I second.
Okay. It has been motioned by the gentleman from Oklahoma State, I believe, that we move the elections to time specific to the session Tuesday morning at 10:30. And it has been seconded. Is there any further discussion? I don't think it's debatable, we'll go ahead, Brother Siegel.
I was going to ask, are we in discussion?
Yes.
Thank you. Scott Siegel, Alpha Tau Chapter, Cornell University. Brother Vice President, if we push multiple things considerably into the future, Tuesday is 24 hours, right? It's one day, and personal belief, we cannot continue pushing things up to that last day and waiting until we are facing that last minute. So while I agree we did move, say, the adoption of the minutes into later in our schedule, and there's this current motion to move this later into the schedule. I just believe that if we are going to continue moving things later into the schedule, we're going to run up to the last minute, and then we will run out of time for the committees and the other work that has to be done. It has to be done over these next 2 days without the proper time to consider the work that they're doing and adopt those changes.
So you want to keep the elections tomorrow morning?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Further discussion? Huh? Yes, okay, not a debatable motion. All right, in all fairness, I've already given that gentleman, so I do feel like I owe somebody that's going to speak in favor of the motion.
Toby, Nova Scotia State, made to say that, I think it should be up to some of the guys, because all of a sudden they were expected to do 3 minutes, and now they're able to do a 10-minute presentation or a 7-minute presentation. How much time do they need to prepare something? So, I think it should be up to some of the elected guys in the elected.
Thank you, Mr. Tobin. I think your issue behind on that. Gentlemen, state your name.
Brother President, my name is Nathaniel Greedy, Alpha Road, Georgia Tech. In regards to elections, I like to follow an old adage my father always says, which was to do it right, don't do it at all. And the future of this fraternity is very important to me. I think it's very important to fellow brothers. And there's a lot of us who feel that we don't know the people who are running, and we'd like the opportunity to do that, despite whatever the rules would say, or the tradition matter.
Thank you. All right, for the parliamentarian, the motion was not debatable to take over of the day. So I'll allow 1 in 4 and 1 against. So what's the intent of your motion?
No
motion. So done. We go.
I feel like there's more to this though. I don't have a question, I'm not for or against. Can I go?
What is the point of inquiry?
Sure.
Okay.
Chad Warwick, University of Akron, Alpha. I think as we're thinking about this motion, we also think about nominations versus elections.
I've already said that, Jim. I've already said that, Jim.
All right, it's out of order.
Yeah, it's out of order. We'll come back to it though. All right. The motion's been made that we move the elections to a time certain in the morning session, which is the last session, from 10:30 to 12:30. Motion's been made and seconded. All those for, please signify by raising your hand. All against? We'll go to clicker. Logan, can you prop that up for me?
Hey, Chad, just trying to get this microphone by.
Ayes or noes?
Microphone's down. But we can vote.
So the motion was to change the order of the day and move the elections instead of tomorrow to the 10:30 session on Monday morning. Time certain was listed in the motion. Pardon? Tuesday. Period. Tuesday morning. Yeah. Yeah, so if you vote yes, we're moving it to vote it to the last session Tuesday. If you vote no, we'll keep them tomorrow. Logan, let me know when you have that queued up. So yes vote, move it to Tuesday. No vote, keep them tomorrow.
Brother President, Sasha Konevsky, Epsilon Capital Records, point of inquiry. When are the nominations going to be closed?
The nominations will be closed after each office. We'll start at the top and then come down and then down to National Council of Vice President.
So potentially Monday afternoon?
When we have the elections, because some people may start at the top and then they don't get that and they say, well, I'm gonna run for this. And then they may not get that one, run for this. So we're keeping them open to avail as much opportunity as we can. Now, if the body wants to close them, they can.
Okay, just want to make sure everybody's aware of that.
Yeah. All right. Chair recognizes the parliamentarian.
Brother President, PJ Bass, Gamma RIT, point of information. This question is, I suppose, more aptly posed to the CEO. Do we have enough time in that session to perform the elections? I'm saying on a Tuesday, 10:30 session, do we have time to perform the election?
Under the current schedule, we have allotted 3 hours to allow for a national president to be selected, a national vice president, and 2 counselors. Given we don't understand right now at this point in time how many people are running for office, we've at least tried to allow for 3 hours. The session on Tuesday is 1 hour and 45 minutes. So I think we're going to run into a situation, if we move to Tuesday, that we're going to struggle to meet the expectations of the 10 minutes, the 7 minutes, the 5 minutes, and the question and answer.
All right, at this time, the chair needs to speak. I'm going to ask Brother Ray Carlos to come and act and handle the gavel while I ask for an opportunity to speak from the floor.
Chair recognizes Brother Matz.
Thank you. Barry Mast, National Vice President, Alpha Lambda, Auburn University. I think there's plenty of time. Also want to say to everybody here, I have no input on this agenda. I got it Thursday afternoon at 5:30. And despite discussions to the contrary, I look and see that we're going to hold elections for these guys that don't know anybody, the undergrads here, much less on the graduate council. Personally, I don't think it's wrong, and I think you deserve better, and I think you need an opportunity to get to meet the candidates and hear the issues.
Chair does not recognize Brother John Hayes. Chair recognizes Brother Chair Rick Matz.
Thank you.
Point of order. Point of order. Please state your name. Please go to the microphone, say your name, chapter.
Heck no, this is my microphone, brother.
John Hayes, Old Dominion, Gamma Tau. Vote is open. It was non-debatable. Having additional speeches during that time is out of order.
No, it's not. It is. It is. Our parliamentary rules is out of order. Vote is underway. Vote's done.
I'll reassume the, yeah, thank you.
That was fun, Brother Mask as the chair.
Thank you, non-debatable. Logan, are we ready?
Yeah, good. Been open. Yeah, but
I can't see it. All right, let's close the machine, we'll like the vote.
Ready for the vote?
Aye. All right, 52 noes, 46 ayes. The motion fails. All right. State your name.
Bill Crane, Beta Z Chapter, University of Georgia. What's the verbiage, Jack? Calendar, order of the order. Changing the order of the day, motion for Monday evening prior to our pool party, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, which we already have another session scheduled. But again, gentlemen, most of you have not met, to Brother Matt's point, any of the candidates in the nominating committee's report or any of those who would be nominated from the floor. That's the most significant decision, group of decisions you're going to be making for the next 2 years. Who's going to lead us? So if you want to do this in the morning, then you can vote me down with a no. Yeah, I do want a second for this, for someone to move. Yes, thank you.
State your name, Jeff.
Beta Kappa, Oklahoma State, I second.
Not debatable. Restate the motion.
Change of order, moving the elections currently scheduled for Monday morning at what's the time? What's the currently scheduled time? At 10:30 in the morning to the 4 p.m. session in the afternoon.
Okay. Been moved second, not debatable, so I won't get in there. All those for, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Show of hands, aye. Leave them up, leave them up. Delegates only, delegates only. All those no? Ayes clearly have it. And the noes were noted. All right, let's move along. At this time, we will place names into nomination. Nominees, please have your nominators ready and your seconders ready. So, no seconds required on the nomination. Can they, if they have a perfunctory seconder? Then they'll need a second. I know that saying, can they do it perfunctory? All right, this is the purpose of what people write. Gentlemen from Florida State, state your name.
Brother President, Ricky Bailey, Beta Iota Chapter, Florida State University. It's an honor to nominate Michael Loomis for the role of National Vice President, or excuse me, National President.
Michael Loomis has been entered as National President.
Brother President, Scott Siegel, Alpha Tau, Cornell University. I proudly second the nomination for Brother Loomis for National President.
Good. Thank you. Next. He accepts. Thank you. State your name.
Baby, Peyton, Bedekai, Southern Illinois. Peyton Sheehan, Bedekai Chapter, Southern Illinois. I would like to nominate Andrew Fruth of Southern Illinois Bedekai Chapter for Graduate National Council.
All right, hold on. We're out of order. We're doing president right now, and then we're going to go to vice president, national counselor. It's okay. It's all right. All right, let's come back around to national presidents.
Check, check.
All right, I didn't see that mic over there, so we got another one.
Hi there, Brother President.
All right, can you bring it back over here? Will it not read?
Check, check. Still down?
No, it's
Just need to test.
I can do that.
All right, sir, state your name and chapter.
Kevin Doty, Gamma Psi, Texas State University. In the spirit of brotherhood, I nominate a man of distinction. He pledged in the fall of 1975 and served as Rush Chairman and President of the Resident Council. His love of the fraternity shows. We initiated his son, Vital, in the fall of 2022. He served on the BOG of the Graduate Council for the last 5 years. He has been promoting brotherhood since the day I met him in 1979. This brother exhibits skills necessary to lead Vital National. He believes in transparency. If y'all will remember 9/11, this man was asked by the American Bar Association to go to Guantanamo Bay and make sure that the infidels, or not infidels, but the Middle Eastern captives were treated fairly, and he did this at his expense. He was appointed, he is an organized and skilled thinker. He's detailed in all the projects he works on and the issues that he confronts. He has integrity. He's a licensed minister. I know that because I asked him to marry my son this January of 2023. He is dedicated to serving above self in all projects. I've seen him undertake. He is selfless in the way he dedicates himself. I'm nominating a Vital who brings to the table a tremendous amount of work experience that benefits our fraternity. He served as a Dallas police officer for 5 years. He put himself through St. Mary's Law School. He's been an attorney for 38 years. He worked for the U.S. Department of Justice for 11 years as U.S. Attorney. Our nominee is Again, our nominee is a licensed minister. He's a husband to Anna, a father of 5, and a son. I am honored and so proud to nominate an outstanding person, leader, brother for the position of president of Phi Kappa, Mike McCrum.
State your name, chapter, please.
Greg Kavanaugh, Gamma Psi, Southwest Edward, Texas State. I'll second.
Thank you. Are there any further nominees at this time for national president? Mr. McCrum, are you out there? Do you accept the nomination? Thank you, sir. Any further nominations for president? We will now move to the position of national vice president. Nominations are open.
Yeah, William Hellier, Epsilon Lambda, Longwood University. I nominate Jeremy DeMaio for vice president.
Jeremy DeMaio. Do you accept? You accept. Next, for vice president, Brother Ford, state your name and chapter.
Phil Ford, Delta Sigma chapter of Weber International University. I'd like to nominate Mark Scherer for the office of vice president.
Nominate Mark Scherer. Mark, Brother Scherer, where are you at? Do you accept? Thank you. I'll Nomination is still open for National Vice President. Brother Pacheco.
Mel Pacheco, New Chapter, University of California, Berkeley. For those of you who have not had the distinct honor and pleasure to get to know Ray Carlos, I ask you to do so in the next 24 hours. He spent his undergrad at a state school. He did his graduate work at a private school, so he's got a wide variety of experience there. He has his PhD, he works on campus, so he understands the students and what issues that befall them. And that's the kind of person we need in our leadership. So for your consideration, Raymond Carlos.
Brother Pacheco nominates National Councilor Ray Carlos. Nominations are still open for National Vice President. Do we have any more? Do you accept, Brother Carlos? Okay, he accepts. Okay, parliamentarian suggests for this one we close nominations. If we do have to reopen them, we will.
John Hayes, Alderman in Gamatau, move to close the nominations for national president.
Been moved. Is there a second?
Brad Smith, Gamma Alpha, I second.
It's not debatable, is it? No. All those for, please raise your hand. All those against? Wait a minute. So that's president. I'm sorry, John, I misunderstood that. And I want to be sure that I didn't get it right. So as to close nominations for president, is that right? Close nominations for president. Let's do it again. I apologize. All those for, please signify by raising your hands. All those opposed? Ayes have it. Still on vice president. Still on vice president. If nothing, I'm going to move to national council.
Brother Chairman, just a point of information, Sasha Konevsky, Epsilon Kappa, Rutgers University. Only members that are credentialed and our delegates can speak on the floor. Just keep that in mind. Thank you.
All right, I agree. If I allow someone that was not.
Where's the second yet?
Who?
No, we can doesn't matter.
Okay.
Brother President,
Brother Ford.
I move we close the nominations for Vice President.
All right. Motion made to close the nomination for vice president. Is there a second? No.
Jonas Ardillo, Alpha Omega Chapter, Baldwin Wallace University. I second.
Thank you, Jonas. And second, all those aye, please raise your hand. All against? Ayes have it. All right, let's open up the nominations for National Council. Now, let me be straight, Mr. Parliamentarian, PJ. If we have candidates that have been slated, they do not need to be renominated. Is that correct, Jeff? All right. So far, we have slated. Are there any further nominations for National Council? Brother Holland, assume the position.
Greg Holland, the University of Maryland, Beta Omicron chapter. I proudly place in the nomination the name of Vic Hootie from the Gamma Alpha chapter, Michigan Tech.
Restate the name, brother.
Vic Hootie, H-U-D-Y, Michigan Tech.
Victor Hudy, H-U-D-Y. Thank you.
Seconding the motion for Victor Hudy, Michigan Tech. Bill Crane, Beta Z Chapter University.
Bill Crane is second. Next.
Brother Vice President, I'd like to, my name is Peyton Chin, Beta Chi Chapter, Southern Illinois. I'd like to nominate Andrew Fruth for graduate National Council.
Thank you. Andy Fruth's name has been placed in the nomination?
Charles Haskell, Zeta Theta, University of North Texas. I second.
Thank you, and second. Brother Hudy, where are you? Please stand up. Do you accept the nomination? Please stand up. Do you accept the nomination? Thank you. Brother Fruth, where are you? You accept the nomination. Thank you. Any more nominations for National Council? All right. And that concludes nomination.
John Hayes, Alderman.
Mr. Hayes?
Move to close the nominations for National Council.
It's been moved to close the nominations for National Council. Is there a second? Help a brother out here. Thank you, Scott.
Scott Siegel, Alpha Tau Chapter, Cornell University. I second the motion.
It's been moved and seconded to close the nominations for National Council. All those for, please signify by raising your hand. All those against, please raise your hand that are voting against everything. Good job, guys. I really like that. Acknowledge somebody. Ayes have it. Thank you. All right.
Brother President, John Hayes, Alderman in Gamma.
Thank you.
I'd like to change the standing rules to allow for waterfall of candidates, i.e. candidates that are currently being considered for the national president, if they are not selected, may select automatically to fall to office of vice president and further down to national council if they wish to do so.
Yeah, I mean, that was the original reason I was saying not to close nominations, because I've already anticipated the waterfall, but if you want to make it automatic when you have.
Yep, this is Jack Alvinus, St. John's, Gamma Gamma, second.
Been seconded to do a waterfall approach. That's not Beyonce's song, it's just the process by which we're going down. The motion is seconded. All those for, please signify by raising your hand. All those for against, please. How's that? All right. Thank you, gentlemen. We're getting through it. We're getting through it. All right. All right, at this time, I'd like to call Jameson Hurd, Ryan Miller forward on new business legislation only. Go ahead. Get close to the mic, too. Y'all take your time.
Yeah, can we get the slides up, please? Awesome. Next slide. Oh, wow, there's animations. Cool. So I'm Jameson Hurd. I am the jurisprudence chair. What we're doing right now, we're going to be talking about the submitted constitution amendments, the process that took, and the statutes. We're not voting on these tonight. It is for your information, and I promise to try and get through this very quickly. So, is there a clicker I can use?
Yeah, Warner.
Nope. Okay, next slide. Awesome. So, as you know, the Viscount Talk documents of the Constitution and statutes that really sets the rules for how our fraternity operates. You can go online for current Constitution and statutes. Next slide. Cool. So constitutional amendments or changes can only occur during convention. However, for statutes, those can occur during the convention, or the National Council can vote to make statutory changes as well. There's also policy. Policy is different from statutes, and those are processed by the National Council and executive offices. Next slide, please. Cool. For constitutional amendments, they have to be submitted by 90 days. all of our amendments that we're going to go through met that deadline. Statutory changes were kind of the same thing, but we can still make statutory changes during this convention that works for you. Next slide. Cool. You'll see a lot of things online, and it's basically in 3 parts. It's the proposal and its rationale, what exactly should be changed, and what are the proposed changes with highlights. Again, you can see the actual documents online. Next slide. If you have any comments, Scott Brown is the National Governance Advisor, so you can ask him, you can ask myself, or you can ask the co-chair, Brian, over there. Next slide. Next slide. Cool. Next slide. So the first one is the constitutional amendments for separating the, replacing the graduate members of the National Council language, because the National Councils are already comprised of graduate members. So it's just making it a little bit more concise. The next one is proposed by Commonwealth. They want to amend the Constitution in order to remove the chair and vice chair of the Phi Kappa Tau Foundation from being voting members on the National Council. Next slide. The next one is making, kind of codifying that instead of doing one National Council a year, requiring one National Council meeting a year, make it 4 a year. I do want to say that National Council does meet more than once a year. Excellent. This one, proposed by Ken Taw as well, wants to remove the chairman of the foundation and his assignee of the foundation from service of the National Council. Next slide. So this one's just to remove kind of operational changes, specifically about installation dates and teams. Next slide. This one is going to be kind of weird, but I'll talk about it more tomorrow. But essentially, there's a proposal to change the National Council term from 6 years to 4 years. And that will have some effects on the composition and how we do elections. It will not affect how we do elections this convention. I want to make that clear. Next slide. Cool. This is just a summary of what would actually somewhat happen. We'd be voting for 3 national councilors each convention, and if this amendment would be approved, it would be on the National Council and executive offices to figure out good ways to actually implement that process. Awesome. That is a very quick rundown because we are, burning daylight over here. Please come talk to me, Scott Brown or Ryan, if you have specific questions about these amendments. Again, I will give a little bit more information tomorrow once Jurisprudence Committee actually officially meets. But for now, I'm going to hand it over to Ryan, who's going to go over the proposed statute changes. Thank you.
You can go to the next slide. So to start off, we have Gamma Tau proposes, and if accepted, this amendment will remove the domain directors as national officers, alleviating potential liability to the national media. Go next slide. Also, Gamma Tau proposes, and if accepted, replace the judicial decision solely on the committee and remove the potential for political influence of the National Council. The National Council remains the supreme judicial body of the fraternity. Also, Gamma Tau proposes the following amendments and statutes. By accepting this amendment, it assures any current officer of the fraternity who violates their oath to office or our cardinal principles is determined by judicial process to be unsuited to hold their current office from serving in the future.
And then the last one, I do believe in the future. And then the last one, I do believe, the governance committee is proposing to change the numbering scheme used in the statutes. If a section is added or removed, every subsequent section must be renumbered. And like Jameson said, if you guys have any questions about anything we covered, please come talk to me, Scott Brown, or Jameson. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Mr. Chairman, a point of inquiry. Kevin Prather, Beta Gamma chapter, University of Idaho. On all of these things that we just saw, what I didn't see was any rationale or explanation why it's being proposed. I think that the way it was presented, even if we get that tomorrow, is another problem with all of these. And I just want to voice an objection for this body even considering any of these items because there has been no rationale presented. That's my opinion.
Thank you, Brother Brian. Jameson, you like to reply?
Jameson Herrick, Delta Beta, Evansville. These were posted about 3 weeks ago. There are rationales online, and I will make sure tomorrow when we do it during the business that there are rationales appearing there. So please go online to see the rationales and the actual exact language of the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you. For what purpose is the gentleman rise?
A motion that's germane to what's on the floor. It's a little lengthy, so I'm going to summarize and then read the motion. And I'm not postponing again, but I'm going to suggest because of all the elections that we have moved to tomorrow and the other items that we proposed and calendar change to move from today to tomorrow, that we consider suspension of all of these changes to a constitutional convention to be held next year during 2024, which this body can order. And I'll just read in brief form and fashion, and I know I'll be speaking a little quickly, but it will be posted as soon as I hand it off to the back table. And Bill Crane, by the way, sorry, University of Georgia. Pending before this convention are at least 10 proposed amendments to the attorney's constitutions and statutes in light of the significant concerns arising from numerous decisions made during the last year, including actual proposed actions that have touched upon the breadth authority of our fraternity's national officers, as well as the trustees of the Phi Kappa Tau Foundation. It's become apparent and to many of us that a careful review of our Constitution and statutes is necessary, followed by the attorney's consideration as to whether any provision should be amended. The decisions of our former chief executive officer, the trustees of the foundation, and national officers now necessitate this level of review and consideration. Accordingly, we move the following. Appointment of a legal review committee to complete a review of the current Constitution statutes of our fraternity, publishing a detailed report to all fraternity members no later than November 1, 2023, which contains the committee's proposed amendments and reasoning. The committee shall be presided over by the national president. The national president shall appoint committee members comprised of no less than a minimum of 2 members of the National Council, 2 at-large members of the Attorney's Graduate Council from chapters, and 2 undergraduate members. Number 2, a constitutional convention to be held on the campus of Miami University in Oxford, Ohio, on a date no later than July 31, 2024, or at such other location as possible or impractical to be held on the Miami University campus. All members of the fraternity shall be invited to attend. Voting delegates limited to 1 voting delegate per president and 1 per graduate council, as approved in accordance with Article E, Section 2 of our fraternity constitution, or those granted all privileges and duties as acting graduate council. Number 3, the matters to be addressed at the Constitution proposed by the Legal Review Committee. All amendments to the Constitution and statutes proposed by an attending delegate. An attending delegate proposed amendment must be submitted to the Legal Review Committee no later than 45 days prior to the convention. The Legal Review Committee shall publish to the fraternity all proposed amendments, whether proposed by the committee or by voting delegate, no later than 30 days prior to this convention. The convention shall be held in conjunction with undergraduate leadership conference and academy. The national convention thus shall be suspended for further review by the Legal Review Committee. Such proposed amendments shall be considered in the 2024 Constitutional Convention. Motion made, Bill Crane, seconded by Andy Fruth, Beta Chi graduate delegate. I'm handing it off so they can type all that up.
Andy Fruth, Beta Chi, second.
speaking to the motion, I would recommend that this idea be forwarded to the Jurisprudence Committee for study and recommendation back to the floor after that study is concluded.
Motion was out of order as we're not in new business yet. I think it's a great idea. I just don't think it's at the right time in our schedule for that.
New business is currently scheduled at the last 10.
I think it's, really is, I think it's germane, but we have a motion to refer it to jurisprudence and determine.
I'll second the motion. I refer to jurisprudence.
All right. All those for sending the motion to jurisprudence committee, please signify by raising your hand. And only delegates vote. All those against? Ayes have it. The motion goes to jurisprudence. All right. As the old song went, we had a long time to get there, but we are there. So before I turn it over to CEO Matt Arnold to give us some guidance on where we're going, here in about 3 weeks we'll start his contest. Mark, where are you? There, Mark, raise your hand. You want to go ahead and crank it up? All right. He's got fire. What other announcements do we have? The gentleman, Georgia.
Bob Ragsdale, Beta Z chapter of the University of Georgia. If your spouse is in attendance, there's a spouse's reception tomorrow morning from 10 to 11 o'clock, and there are invitations for the ladies up here that will give the details, and I'll be up front if your lady is here and would like to attend. Thank you.
Thank you, Brother Ragsdale. That's a great idea. Very nice. We appreciate it. Brother Toby.
Toby, New Mexico State, Beta Zeta. I'm a little pissed about the tie thing. They're okay. The bolo tie is the state tie of New Mexico. So this little thing I do started some, I don't know, I don't even know, 12 years ago, I don't know. Anyway, we have, I have bolo ties, and we're asking $10 a piece for them. Proceeds will go to Serious Fund. I'm sitting in the back. I think I have one for everybody. So just seek me out. Hey, and I'm not a bank. Hand me $100. I'm not gonna have change for it, so that bolo tie is gonna cost you $100. I do take Venmo. So my Venmo is at Bob Toby, T-O-B-E-Y. It's at Bob dash Toby, T-O-B-E-Y. And that should work. T-O-B-E-Y. And that should work. Also, the other thing I was thinking, this is dangerous too, with this year's convention, when I thought of our past National Rush Chairman, when I thought of our past National Rush Chairman, Barry Mask. I know that's how rumors get started. But two things that I know about Barry Mask is one, he likes a good joke, and the other thing is a good rush idea. So how many guys have rush parties or rush events where you play poker? Well, this is a real easy gadget, inexpensive to make. They're made in my basement, but I can show you how to do that. Now, quote Shakespeare, therein lies the rub. I know this stuff. So I'm going to work with our crack staff, and we'll have a slide made up where you too can order your own do-it-yourself. Thank you, sir.
Excellent. Chair now recognizes Councilor French.
Michael French, Beta View National Council, Brother Chair. I have moved to recess this session.
Give me 1 second. We are getting there. Just hold on. We're getting there. Brother Pacheco.
Mel Pacheco, new chapter, Berkeley. Just a reminder for those of you on the scholarship committee, go to the main hall, turn right, we're gonna meet for 3 minutes. And then you can go out and do what it is that you do so well.
Brother Lukens, back to over here.
Michael Lukens, Alpha Pi, University of Washington. As we all know, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And I am on behalf of the Community for Business. So whatever your major is, you'll have an opportunity to connect with alumni who are career field. This is something that the Education Committee has done to benefit our body. So I invite you to come. I am excited to see you tomorrow morning, and I think we will find some value having breakfast together. Thank you.
Brother Lucas, inquiry of the available.
It is my recommendation convention, but we did not pass a resolution last time to guarantee that.
You're welcome.
Thank you, thank you.
Brother French is on the microphone. Brother French is on the microphone.
No,
Okay.
hold on. I'm coming back to you, Mom.
Gentlemen, if the ice cream in the hallway hasn't melted, and some of you may not be able to go for milkshakes, after that's over, there's a place called Flights that's in the Miracle Mile Mall, just on the other side of the casino. And on behalf of my Southern brothers and the Beta Zeta chapter at the University of Georgia, we'd like to invite you to come meet all of the candidates you've heard introduced or nominated tonight, have an opportunity in a more casual setting to ask them about the issues of the day, to tell them about the concerns of your chapter. And I had a good time at the tables this morning, so the first $1,000, food, beverages are on you, food is on me. So if you'll come join us, Flights, across the casino room, go out of the Miracle Mile Mall, it's easy to find, and I'll have the first grand, and I'm sure we'll pass it out for a little bit else. Because I don't know who is and is not 21, I cannot cover your beverages for the evening, but we hope you'll consider joining us.
Thank you. We're gonna let Brother Matt Arnold speak, and then I'm coming back to your motion, Brother French.
Okay, we've got maybe some ice cream left. I don't know. I'm sure there's something out there. So just a reminder, we do have that opportunity out there. Other things. Gentlemen, I want to remind you, you are, especially our undergraduate members, you are in Las Vegas. And I want to remind you that this is not your college town and how you get into bars. You will also be removed from the hotel if you try to gamble and you're under 21. So I just want to point out, just to remind you, that this is not your college town. You need to make sure that you understand that these people here that are running security mean absolute business. So please keep that in mind. And I look forward to seeing you guys at the networking breakfast at 8:30.
Matt, are we going out here for the ice cream? Okay. Brother Councilor French, do we have another one over here? Go ahead, James, brother.
Yes, James Kirkville, Evansville, jurisprudence will be meeting as soon as we close by Capitol banner in that corner.
That corner. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good job. Councilor French.
Michael French, Beta View National Council. Counselor, I move that we recess this session.
Been moved to recess till the morning. All those for, please signify by saying aye. All against, aye. We keep the clickers, Matt. Keep your clicker. Do not lose it. You will not get another one.